How unprofessional. Drinking on a live stream. I hope everyone's doing good. I wanted to kill this because I think this is going to be a little too loud for you guys. I apologize. Bear with me on this. We're going to go through this. What's behind me? I got a few emails I want to go through with you guys. Really appreciate it. Let me grab the controller. Red Solo. Let's see if I do that. There we go. I just think that's going to be a little too loud for you guys. Okay, so let's kick it off. Make sure this is all working. All fantastic while people try to come in. And like I said, you guys are more than welcome to ask questions, give me comments, give me feedback. Let me know what you guys do. If you got something that's real detailed, hit me up at the Daveadubson@gmail.com. Shoot me an email because I would love to learn because I don't have all the answers. I wish I did, but I don't. I'm trying to get onto this so I can see comments if I have to. Sweet. Okay. So where do we start? Mr. Jeffrey down in Georgia. Jeffrey's a really nice guy. I really appreciate Jeffrey. So I just wanted to put this out. He wrote a really nice email. It sounds like he's starting out with the garage door business. He was doing other stuff. He said the first week went great. Awesome. And I think they installed, looks like 12. Now remember, if Jeffrey watches this, remember, you gotta specify. You gotta specify. Is it 10 wide? We always typically in the garage door industry, right? We always go width, then height. For whatever reason, everybody else always does height, then width. You know what I mean? But it's width, then height. So we gotta do, so it says 10 by 20s, maybe 20 wide, 10 tall. And then we also, if it has a W or H by it, it just also makes it, just so you know, just so you're learning. So if you got to fill out something for a detail or anything like that, or explain it to a boss, or a lot of customers always had it wrong. It was always, I got a 7 by 16. No, you got a 16 by 7, because that'd be really goofy on a residential house. He says he's excited for work in the company. He says my boss is a very kind man. Awesome. Good for the boss man. It sounds like while they were staying down there, had reservations at like a hotel, all paid for, which is good, and did a nice restaurant, it sounds like. So that's awesome. Everything's wonderful down here. That's good. That's awesome. So that's on both sides, right? The employee side and being the owner side, right? We got to take care of our guys. It's very important. Okay, so this one we got from Mr. Carter. So Mr. Carter reached out. He says I'm a solo residential door guy. Never done any commercial work other than service calls on a few barn doors or barns / large residential. He says I would like to learn commercial, and I was given an opportunity to install a 10 by 10 for a customer. It looks like he's got on here, he doesn't know if it's gonna, there's some details, it's gonna be down the road yet, so it's probably not built or well, it's built, but it's not ready yet. So he doesn't know if there's gonna be high lift in it. There's still some details to work out. He's pretty certain though it's gonna be standard. Let's see on here, commercial. He said anything about, on commercial, anything to watch out for. I want to read the rest of it here too. I says, I think a 10 by 10 seems pretty reasonable and a good segue to learn commercial. There's already doors in place, so it's an existing building. There's already older garage doors there, it sounds like. So it's not new construction. Definitely hire a helper, so he's going to probably get a helper, which is not a bad idea, especially, what's up, Mr. Tony? Good day. Good day to you. And like I said, let me know too if, don't forget the gals. That's right, ladies. Let me know if audio is crazy, because like I said, I'm trying to just do it without the lapel. And hopefully it's not too crazy in here. This is already new construction. He's gonna hire a helper. So when you're starting out, it doesn't hurt, man. I tell you what, there's so many times I've done stuff myself that even sometimes just a helper, sometimes even just to have somebody like walk off and deal with the customer and talk and, oh, go show me your car, or go show me the dog, or can you show me the backyard or something. that stuff can help. So you can just sit there and just, I gotta get this done. You know what I mean? Otherwise, we're gonna be here. Something that should take a day is gonna take 2 days, and it's just help. You don't have to stress so much. Two minds are better than one. He's gonna help her project, but I'm debating. So he's debating on renting a lift or just using a ladder. That's a good question. Um, let's see. So yes, he's got the video. Okay, so a couple things. I would agree. I would agree. A 10 by 10, I really don't flinch over doing it off ladders, especially if you got a helper. If you got a helper, and especially if it's an insulated door, you got a window section or something like that, easy breezy. Probably bring, if it was me, if it's my truck, I normally bring 4-footers. I'm just weird like that. I do 4 foot, 6 foot, and then I do 8 foot. So I bring a couple 8 foots or just one 8 foot and probably a 6. Something of that nature, you know what I mean? But more the merrier, depending on how many trucks you got going. If it's a 1 truck plan or 2 truck plan. If it has high lift though, depending, like maybe a foot, I might still be okay off a ladder. But if it's going to be higher than a foot, I probably might start thinking about just getting a scissor lift or something, because once you start getting up higher like that, it gets to be more tough. You gotta put in screws. So anything without the standard lift, and especially if the ceilings are real high, I'd start thinking about probably doing do a scissor lift. Okay, so I think he was talking on here too about pricing. But before I jump into that, so here's something I wanted to. Oh, sweet, sounds good, awesome. It says I think my daughter watches. Yes, it's garage door lady. That's right. Hey man, I love the my daughters come out. Those women, man. Like I said, I still remember when my wife, we did a job. It's kind of embarrassing, but we did a job, and I remember I came back. This guy, he was an employee. He wasn't that good. And I came back and I said, man, I really like working with my wife. And he says, well, I'm surprised you just don't use her. And I told him flat out. I said, I would. I said, but I don't trust you to watch my kids. I don't know where I came up with that, but it worked out pretty good. But I had to work with her late at night, tearing out a gate in a blizzard. And she was a rock star, man. She was just right out there. She was running the forklift. She does amazing work. So it's funny. But so anyways, with this commercial stuff, I wanted to. You're gonna have to excuse me for 1 second. I see a bug and I gotta kill it. I got that OCD, whatever. Sorry. I just couldn't resist. It was a stink bug. It was just crawling, driving me nuts while I'm sitting here staring at it, going, "You need to go away." So with commercial, here's a couple things you got to remember. And I have not really proven this, right? But there's a couple ways you can kind of look at commercial. And if you're doing like new installs, so the unfortunate thing with Carter on this one is he's got tear out, right? So you got to clean up all the debris. It takes time. It is what it is. It's more labor. It's more money. But if you could do the new installs and you decide not to do service, right? Because, service really takes a special person, because you got to be on top of things, right? The truck's got to be loaded up with all the right parts. You got to make sure you keep stocked up on it. You got to, you're going always into the unknown typically. Now, when you do new construction, steel buildings and stuff like that, it's normally not, you kind of got a game plan typically. Not that it doesn't have problems, because everything has problems. But it just depends on what you want to do. If service is just, do you bring a scissor lift? Do you not bring a scissor lift? Do you, there's all these different variables in there. So I wanted to bring that up. 1-year warranty. Are you going to warranty it? Are you going to take care of it after you do the install? You're going to put your stickers on it? You're going to be, you're just going to install it, and then it's kind of like you say, when they call you in 2 years, you go, well, I don't work on them. I just install them. You have to call somebody else. Not saying that's a bad idea, because to me that's somewhat orchestrated, right? And it depends, right? If you're willing to travel, you're not married, you don't got kids, all this other stuff, it might not be a bad gig, right? Because you can kind of schedule it. I don't know if you kind of understand where I'm going with that. Let's see. Service place is full of, what do I got here? Places is full of staff. Oh, that's what it was. sometimes when you do new installs, I've noticed this, like with our builders, the commercial ones. We'll go in there and the building's empty, right? And if maybe you mess something up, you don't do a good install, whatever. You go back and now the guy's got his Ferrari in there. Now he's got his truck in the way. Now he's got machinery in the way, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know. And you're like, well, how do I get my scissor lift in here and do what? So those are things that are kind of a pain in the hiney. That's unforeseen because you remember the job, how you left it, and you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Well, now they built a wall. It gets a little nutty on there. All right, so let me see here. Sounds great. Good. AJ 50, too old to get into the garage door biz. 50, huh? That's a great question. Well, I think it's more or less a mindset and how much you want to do it. Like how do I say it? It depends on what you can live on. You know what I mean? And that's sometimes why I try to be careful what I say because I don't try to be depressing in this. But you can do it, right, if you're smart, and maybe you be selective on what you do. Maybe you just do springs, right? You do residential garage door springs. They're light, they're easy, they're nimble. You don't have to worry about heavy, but you get into commercial, right? And I'm gonna do 22-foot wide sections, and I'm doing 20. That's some hard work, man. And the springs get really big, the track gets really heavy. So I don't think it's too old. It's just like if you were to say, I'm gonna jump into it and I'm gonna make a huge business out of it. It's kind of like the whole thing about this is what I try to relay to people is it's really like the stock market. The sooner you invest, the better off it is down the road, right? You know what I'm trying to say here. But if you're starting out later, boy, you got to really invest a lot of money. You got to invest a lot of stuff, to get that thing rolling. Kind of the hints why I always say, like for me, I've been in it 18 years. And if I was to start from scratch again, I wouldn't do it. I absolutely wouldn't do it. If you're a young man, but the thing is, I don't want to say that like that because if it's your passion and you love your job and you got that thick skin to deal with, like if you start having to hire employees is the big one. The theft, them not showing up, you sold a job, now you can't deliver on the job. When the cough syndrome went around, there's so many variables. That's like I don't want to frame a house, but I feel like it'd be easier to frame a house because you know how around your place too, I about guarantee it. You can get lumber anywhere. Now I know there was a shortage, but you can get lumber and nails. But you can't get garage door parts everywhere, and you can't get sections, and you can't get this certain make and model and color, and there's just a lot of stuff that goes into it. Tony says, hell no, I'm 56. That's awesome, man. Like I said, it's all of mine. I see guys out, they're splitting wood, and they're in their 70s, and you can do it. The biggest thing is like the Toby Keith song, right? Don't let the old man in, right? You got to get up. You got to keep moving. It's not a bad thing. It's just you do have to realize that at some point, depending on what you build or whatever, if you're kind of a solo. One thing I learned with I had when I started the business in a sense, right? I was dealing with a lot of family members, right? Stepdad, this and that. Well, they hit a point, right? They hit a point that they can't no longer do it. It's not comfortable for them. And then you have to switch over to the employee side. And then it's like the big boy pants. And then it's lots of headaches sometimes, not all the time. So anyway, let me jump into this a little bit. So anyways, I don't know if we can find this. I don't really want to scan it and send it to everybody and their brother, but this thing was so helpful when I came across this. It was through the IDA. I found it in one of their magazines. I actually literally cut it out, printed it, and I posted it all over the shop. But when you go through it, this thing will tell you, and this is what I've been looking for in a sense, because in the garage door business, we get shafted because we don't have a blueprint, kind of like the mechanics do at the dealerships, right? A water pump takes 3.6 hours, right? And there's a whole, our business typically don't have that, right? We have all these variables because we're leaving a shop, we're leaving a building, we have to travel, we have gas, we have all these other variables in there. So anyways, I kind of wanted to go through this a little bit. But like right here, this shaded area. So like I was doing for Carter, I said, okay, it's between 9 and 11. Whoops, you can see that. And it's 5 sections, is what I figured for a 10 by 10. So he's got 3.5 hours to install that door. Now what this will tell you in this thing is it will tell you, don't forget, like when you have to unload the semi at your shop. Don't forget when you have to go to the job site and unload the doors off the semi if you're getting them delivered to the job site. Don't forget you got to clean up your van. Don't forget your travel. I mean, it's got all these things. So like I did a 50% roughly on here. It has a takedown, and the takedown is 50% base of, showing above, blah, blah, blah. But it'll tell you on here, which is nice. It tells you, like it'll tell you if you're doing vertical, add this for how many sections, add this time. Now, what I've noticed for myself is this is a little bit heavy, but I think it's right for the average, right? I think it's correct. I think why it's heavy for me is because I'm fast. You know what I mean? I'm very speedy. I'm that type of guy. Like, let's get her hammered out, baby. Let's go home. But I think this is very accurate. All right, let me take a look here if I can make sense of this. So, take out, let's just say 2 hours. I rounded it up. I don't know if Mr. Carter wants you seeing all his email stuff. So anyways, I kind of rounded it up. This is what I kind of figured out the numbers, right? So let's just say 2 hours tear out, blah, blah. So then I started adding up. I think we're at 5.75. Hopefully this isn't like super backwards and all that. But I always figure, right? This is one thing I screwed up a lot on. Is you gotta plan, and these are the things that you gotta think about. Time is money. Time is money. So you got an hour. You get to the job site, right? I factor in it's an hour. The greet, how you doing, a cup of coffee, cheer. Get the tools out of the truck, get the angle out of the truck. Get whatever, the sawzall, the screw guns. Get a table set up. So you got an hour set up, right? Just at the job site. I put an hour to clean up, which I mean by that is I you got to do a little vacuum on it. It's got sand in it now, blah, blah, blah. You got to restock just a little bit of screws and nuts and bolts, all kinds of that stuff, right? So just don't forget to add this stuff up is what I'm trying to say when you're trying to figure out numbers. So anyways, I kind of get this question a lot, and I'm not an expert by any means, consult with your attorney, with your accountant, all that stuff. You know what I mean? I'm just some random dude on YouTube. So I took a 10 by 10. I thought, okay, I know people ask me, how do you figure this and how do you figure that? I don't have a perfect example. And that's what I want you to understand is in the garage door industry, we're kind of screwed because everything is different. Now you can use percentages and stuff like that, and that gets you pretty much there. But what people don't, your overhead is different than my overhead. The travel, that's another thing. The travel to the job site is another thing. So all this stuff adds up, right? You got to get all these in. So I just took a 10 by 10, and I just literally looked this up on Menards. I just Googled, blah, 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 and then boom, here it came. It was a 6, that's what showed up, a 6.5 R value. So this door actually, I did some other stuff too. I doctored it up. The door was around 970, right? And for you guys that are starting out, I've screwed this up a lot. I had one vendor, I bet I was doing it for years with fencing, and I didn't realize the price they were giving me, they weren't charging me tax or even like a little bit of a shipping on it. They'd give me a price, I'd go with it. I go, oh, it's, whatever, 970. So that's why I kind of put up here, like, these are the things that add up. Now if you got a vendor, they're typically going to include this, but you got to make sure because this stuff adds up. Weather seal can be like 60, 80 bucks. 60, 80 bucks adds up. So you got to do angle. You know, the angle, the drops, the kicks, all that stuff, you know, and that's all variables because, well, is it a 2 foot drop or is it a 6 foot or is it a 20 foot drop? I've had some over 10 foot drops. So that adds up. You got to go commercial, you know, angle and stuff. Don't forget, like I said, the tax and the shipping, right? That's why I always tell my vendors or I tell secretaries, anybody, I go, I want the price shipped to my door. What's the price? What's the end price? And typically I don't mess around with pennies and stuff like that. So if they tell me it's, you know, that's why some of these might be a penny or so off or whatever. But if they tell me and they go, you know, well, it's $100.24. Okay, so it's $101. Got it. Round it up. You know what I mean? That's just me. So I kind of figured in I did the labor on this, and for a 10 by 10, I think we came up with, I'm not seeing it right off the top here, I think it was like 9 hours. And you're like, 9 hours to install a 10 by 10? Well, that's if you're going there solo, right? If you're just doing one. Now you got to factor in, obviously, if you're there, you're going to take off those hours, right? You're going to go, okay, well, I'm going to be there. I can probably knock out 2, right? Doing a good job. That's completed, right? That's with weather seal. That's with, you know, angle. That's with everything. I did write up here wire, but the wire really doesn't belong up here because it should go with your opener if you have to do an opener. But I've lost many hundreds of dollars on wire because you end up, I use really nice wire. I've learned over the years I had glitches with LiftMaster and multiple other openers. So I use really good copper wire that's shielded and everything. We use really nice wire. So anywho, I just did a $20 an hour, right? That's not including like overhead. That's not including your workman's comp on guys. I'm just saying, okay, but basically I'm $20 an hour guy or something. Okay, right. 2 men, 40 times 9 hours. I came up to 360, right? See, when I do these things, I want to know my cost. I can't change this, right? I know I'm worth $20 an hour. My guy's worth $20 an hour, right? He's going to get paid. We're all going to get paid. I can't change this, right? I'm not going to come back to him and say, well, you know, you worked a full 8 hours, but I'm going to give you 4. You know, these are just fixed numbers. I can't go to Menards and go, can you give it to me? I screwed my numbers up. Can I get it $100 cheaper? I can't do that. These are just, boom, man. I can't mess with these. And that way I like having this kind of number right here, you know, because what I can do is I can go off if my customer calls me and goes, you know, well, there's somebody that'll do it for $1,400. I go, whatever, let them have it. I ain't doing it for $1,400. So what I've said before in other videos, you guys might be sick of me saying it. This was a game changer for me. A calculator with margins. A calculator with margins. So I will literally take, let's do it right here. Let's do it right here. If it'll show up. Will it show up? I don't think it's going to show up. Well, it's not going to show up, I don't think. So we're going to do like 15, right? So I did 15 and I did a 20% margin. I came up with this number. And this is just how I do. I just run through these things. These are how I figure out my numbers. I came up with this number at 20%. I might write this down on a piece of paper when I do my estimate or I send it out. And if they call me, because the customer is going to call you. They always do. And they go, oh, yeah, is that the best price you can do or something, blah, blah, blah. Or, you know, I like to know. So here's a 30%. 40% is probably on the high side, my opinion. Would I like 40%? Heck yeah. What I'm getting at, though, is most of the time I found out, simple way to do it is if you take the cost of the material, just the material, don't put the labor in your labor or whatever, and you double it, you'll come up with this right here. And what I've noticed is that this number right here comes pretty close to this right here at 30%. Now this is a few hundred, it's $100 or whatever higher. But remember, I also didn't include gas into this. There's other things, there's other factors into this, right? And that's where you might want to add like gas into here or something, blah, blah, blah. And then all this, none of this means anything if you got multiple doors, right? Because now you might drop it down. Your competition is going to drop it down. They might even go down maybe 10% because this is a builder they want to get in with. You know what I mean? This is right in their backyard. So you might have to, these numbers can all change. That's why sometimes I wish I could think of the word my wife told me, but I don't like it because we're the end people. And this stuff can really screw with your brain all the time. You know what I mean? It's really challenging. Let me see what you guys are writing here. What's up, Mr. Tanner? Okay, so what does he got here? It's like the sky is the limit, but 50 is not too old for much, but it does take years to learn all the different types of doors and openers and to run into install obstacles. It does not come overnight. Absolutely. Absolutely, my friend. That is so true. I mean, I've said it before, it took me a year just to understand kind of how a garage door works. Oh, there's springs here. The springs lock down on the torsion tube. That's what pulls up. And the drums, they work as leverage. So it took me a year just to kind of feel like, oh, I get it. It took me five years to where I'd walk into situations and I was like, it didn't matter what it was. It didn't matter if it was commercial, residential, big, bad, ugly, whatever. I was like, I got this. I got this figured out. And it gradually even got better. You know what I mean? Nowadays, I look at, there's nothing that really makes me probably flinch too bad. I just go, it can be done. It's just, how do we do it safely? How do we do it without damaging property? And let's execute this smartly. And are they a good customer? They're going to pay. It's Mr. Tony. Stay small. Could always do service work. Service work, springs, residential openers, but boy, nobody wants to work. You can make some good money right now. Yeah, there's some truth that a lot of people. Well, we find, at least around here, is what I see a lot of it is. How do I say it? Like there was a guy that was working for me. He started his own, right, and he went and did like stuff he shouldn't have been doing, and you're building a bad rap. You know what I mean? So you got to think like you almost got to kind of stay small, what you can handle, what you can do, and not venture out in a sense on stuff that you're not familiar with. And then the worst part is, some people, what they'll do is they go, well, I'm not making no money. Geez, I mean, this is my 20th time going back. But you have to understand that college isn't free, and that was your screw up. You should have never shook the hand. You should have never took the job. You need to make it right. You know what I mean? And that's why that's why Cap that runs the place, we're good men. We're honorable men. We don't lie, we don't steal, we don't cheat. We and we'll also now we say no. It was funny today. Cap had to message me about a customer, and he said it's going to be sad, but I'm going to have to tell him, we're not going to service them, because we used to service them, and customers will take advantage of you. And this particular customer, it's one of those ones, you guys know what I'm talking about. It's got a beam right in the way of the garage doors, like all of them down the whole wall, because they got a crane in there. And the floors are all unlevel, and they got drains. And so the scissor lift is always doing the wonky. And you're always up on the beam, and then, like they never want to shut the stuff down. So you're always like on guard. It's not really the safest. And then they're the ones, what got me with this guy, right, is that when stuff was going on, they got all multiple different doors, right? There's like 3 doors that are all the same, and there's been additions on this place. This guy would call me, and he would be like, hey, like, and he'd act like it's not on him. And he'd say, well, my boss wants to know, like, when are those springs going to be in? And I'm like, dude, I already told you it was going to be like, 2 or 3 weeks. And it's only been 4 days. Why are you calling me? Well, he's just, the semi-trucks are having to back in, and they're just, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, you know how we resolve this? Why don't we order you an extra set, and we'll start, feeding some in here. Now, the thing is, their doors, their springs are so different size. Yeah, and these are 6-inch springs. I don't really want to carry these things. These springs are $1,200 a piece. I don't want to carry. I don't want them in my shop either. You know what I mean? Like they're just gonna get rusty, and if you don't ever use this again, yeah, they need to go to your place. They go to your building, your vehicle, your facility. You know what I'm saying? So, but he'd always do this. Well, then finally they had to do an opener, right? And this just goes to show you, right? You can do service for such a long time, good service, and they just kind of boop you out the door, right? So they got a price on an opener from our competition. Our competition was doing the same crap, right? They come in, there's a lower bid. I think he even might have mentioned, said, well, hey, the competition was, $100 cheaper. And we were like, see you later, sucker. Go with them. You know what I mean? Because we know their service stinks. And it's one of the companies around here. It's the joke is they're not reliable, they're unreliable. You know what I mean? Like that's always a joke when I come across customers. And they've turned into a kind of a big corporation, and they just don't take pride in stuff in their work. And there's just so many people they have to go through to probably get stuff done. Well, it's been maybe about 2 years now. And guess what? Who they're trying to get back, And the thing is he snuck in through the back door. He's got my number, And it's funny how a couple days ago, last week, I get this weird text from him, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on? Blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Why are you talking to me? Like, what's?" And then I find out on Monday, oh, he's trying to get us to come, and like I said, Cap knows what's going on. He doesn't want to. He knows it's. I couldn't even give him not angle iron, but I couldn't even give him track, because I knew if I said I had it, it was going to be, well, can you drop it off? And they are horrendous on paying. It's like you'll send them a bill, and they go, we don't know what this is for. Well, you know what it's for? It's because they don't. It's probably because they're not like issuing POs, but it's, you'll bring it to them, and then you send them a bill, and then it gets lost, and then it's like you have to spend 2 or 3 days with the secretary and with whoever, and back and forth, and like, yeah, well, I brung you, and it's a $300 item, right? And they'll squawk about it, and you're like, dude, I dropped what I could do to bring you this so you could fix it to save money. You know what I'm saying? It gets to be. Stay small. What's Mr. Tony got? Mr. Tony. What do you want sent to you, Mr. Tony? Just tell me, you want the IDA sheet? I'm assuming that's what you're, talking about. Like I said, this thing was, you can see it's been, the guys have used it a few times, it's been pinned up and down, but this thing right here was gold, man. I'm telling you what, when I seen that, and I was like, oh my gosh, finally. Otherwise it's always just, well, I think last job we did, well, that was a little bit different. They didn't have concrete in there. So, we had to work off the ladders and dirt, well, that one, what I mean? It's nice to have this, because what you can do is you can give this to like secretaries, you can give it to workers, or you got guys that are estimating for you. It gives you at least a base where you can kind of go, how'd you screw that up? Why would you think it takes 3 hours to install a 20 by 20? And what I like about this too is I like that it's shaded. So it kind of tells you roughly, like this should be, like the industry kind of thinks this is a one-man job, and like I said, there's all kinds of variables in that, right? Is there no concrete? Is it a foundry? Is it dirty? Is it, there's a whole bunch, is there a bunch of crap in the way? Are you going to have to do the limbo? I mean, stuff adds up. Dun dun. Says that's the key, margins. Like I said, like Tony, man, I'm telling you, I've struggled with this. I'm gonna be really honest with you. I've struggled with this for years, struggled, and once I found the calculator, that had the margins, I don't know why, but the percentages don't work for me. The margins do. The margins make sense. When I do percentages, it blows the crap up. I can't, I'm like, what the? I'm like, but you got to get one. Like I said, it's got to, it's got to have the margin button. So like I can do, like, what did I have here? I don't know, 15. So was it 15? Oh, come on now. 15, 1. That's my cost, right? But that's including the labor part of it. And then I'll do the 20% right there, and then I'll hit margin, and it'll go boop, 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 boom. What did I come up with? Yeah, 1938. Like I said, I don't deal with the change for this example. If it's anything, I always round the crap up. But that's the way I have, like I said, and if I wanted to, like if I knew this job wasn't real close, I'd add fuel in here. I might add hotel in here. I might add food in here for the guys. That whole thing can go on. But I always want to see. So I want to see my cost. You know what I mean? And then I can judge it, right? I can kind of go, okay, like, and then I'll go, what's my competition probably going to charge? Wow, are we gonna make 10 grand off that job? Probably not. That's not probably realistic. Would I like to make 10 grand? Oh, absolutely. But they got to get bids. And that's why sometimes like service is sometimes better, because if you're already in, it's like the service department, they don't squawk over the labor or a few material or a few parts, right? But when it comes to that word replace 3 bids, typically, sometimes more. And the other thing you have to remember is that a lot of these builders, right? Let's say it's new construction, they're building the right from the ground up. They typically, not all of them, whatever, but they just add 10%. So you give them a price, right? Because what they're doing, right? They don't want to spend a bunch of time in this crap, right? So they're just, hey, how much for the roof? How much for electrical? How much for the toiletry stuff? Whatever, the toilets and the plumbing, whatever, vanity, right? They just boom. They'll get it from the plumber. They'll get it from the garage door guy. They'll get it from the concrete guy. And then they just boom, add 10%. So they just get those numbers, they add 10%, right? And boom, there's their number. Okay, to build your building is going to be $1 million. Well, then they get the job, right? So they just put them out there, right? They're just blowing numbers. And that's kind of how I've always been with like sometimes like the estimates a little bit. It's like, the quicker we can blow this out and get the numbers out there so we can see, they're going to take it or not. Like, let's not spend a ton of time because we don't even know this customer. If it's a good customer, you work with them and do what you got to do. But let's just get this out of our hair. Let's move on. So what I'll do though is like with those builders, what will happen is they'll start coming back and they go, oh, we got awarded the job. So now what they do is they go, oh, we just got one bid from the guy or whoever, that we normally use, or this one guy that just answered his phone. And let's see if we can get them, let's get another bid on this. So they'll submit it, right? Sometimes it all depends. They'll submit your contract, whatever, your estimate, your bid, and then they'll get some in, right? And then they're like, well, geez, this guy's $5,000 cheaper. Well, if he's $5,000 cheaper, that'd be $5,000 more in our piggy bank. And that way, if there's an error in the concrete and the concrete guy finds something, because there's always unforeseen, they always do factor in typically. They're not going to tell you this, but they factor in some kind of fudge factor a little bit because they know they have, there's just, when you're building a building, there's a lot of variables. So just something to keep in mind that you're challenged. Yeah, you're challenged. I don't know if I want to say any more on that. What's up, Mr. Joe's Garage Door Service? AJ, I started my company 4 years ago, and I'm 65. Hell yeah. That's awesome, man. 65. Rock on. Like I said, you can do it. I mean, it's just, like when I started, I was young, and young was hard. Actually, age is better, right? Because you can bring in and say, like, hey, young buck, I'm going to teach you a trade. I'm going to teach you something valuable. And you can mold them where, for me, I was getting these older guys and they were rough. Like they were into other stuff and they wouldn't conform. They were just doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I didn't, I was just looking at experience. Oh, you got experience? Oh, great. That's awesome. That means you can work tomorrow, right? Well, that doesn't really mean nothing when they go to your customer and they're like pooping on the side of the toilet. They're peeing in a cup in the corner. They're, taking their wrenches out of their toolbox, the customer's toolbox. They're sitting there, making weird eyes to the wife. You know what I mean? Like, and so morals are like, I'd rather teach somebody that doesn't have any clue, but they're honest, trustworthy, they show up on time, they got a good attitude. Those are key things to me. You know what I mean? I've had too many guys that just like were good salesmen. They act like they know this and that, but then they're stealing out your back door. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty. Thanks, Tony. Best job I ever had. That's cool. The garage door industry it really is a fun. It can be a fun job. Um, I just look at it like I said. I don't like. Sometimes you can just have so many variables. That's what I always say. That the variables are really uh, they get a little crazy sometimes. Business was Joey says I've been doing 20 years. Started my business a few years ago. And best thing I think I read that. A bit late to the live stream. What's up, Mr. Naito? Naito. I say it wrong, probably. I always do. Do you pay $20 an hour to your guys? I don't know exactly what the guys. I was kind of in charge of that. Cap kind of takes over that now, and honestly, I don't know. I don't know what the guys uh, I don't know. It's kind of weird because, like I said, the bank accounts it's full, and they know what they got to do. They know the variables on their pricing and stuff like that. And typically, the secretaries are really they're women, so they're thirsty for your blood. And not that they're over. See, for me, I don't know. You guys let me know when I don't know how to say this. When you come from nothing, right? You'll take anything, right? And what I've noticed in this business is that as things progress, in a sense, prices go up. Inflation's been horrendous. You know what I mean? Inflation has affected us all across this great country. I mean, affected us all. I mean, I know every one of you go to the wives go to it, or you're seeing it, or when you go buy something from a fast food place and you're like, what? I used to always get my meals under like, $9, $10, now it's $10 plus, somewhere between 10 and $20. Very expensive. And so my mind from those years gets set into a price, right? When I hear like we used to install 16x7s, non-insulated, pan doors for $720. That's what we used to install when we first started. I got that because that's in my sheet that I used to do. But $720, you know what I mean, for a 16x7 pan door. I mean, now it's probably like $1,200. You know what I mean? It's just numbers have just gotten, that steel prices, everything. So, but no, I'd say, we know what's going on out there, right? Like everybody's been haunted about the whole $15 an hour minimum wage, and pretty much everybody's got that now, and we still got horrible service. See, sometimes the money doesn't really change people. The people have to change themselves. They have to be good, humble people, and not that we all want to make a living. You got to make some money because inflation and everything. It's there. But I've seen it too many times where people come in and they like, hey, I want $1, I want $2, I want $5, whatever it is. And it's like, okay, but I remember a concrete guy one time told me, I was in the store in the checkout, and I said, what do you do with your, and he said, you know what I do? He says, if they come to me and they want more money, he goes, how are you going to make me more money? And I thought, well, that's pretty simple. I mean, it does make sense, right? I mean, unfortunately, we all have to work as a team. So you either got to, and like I said, with the garage door business, and a lot of service business, you can be in lawn care, you can be in anything, you know what I mean? Like roofing, all this stuff, right? And it's one of those things. It's like either you got to become more efficient, which is less callbacks, less, oops, I forgot my screw guns, oops, I forgot my batteries, oops, I forgot a torsion tube, oops, I forgot the garage door sections, because all that stuff adds up. You know what I mean? That's time, and that time you could be out doing another job, and now you just, you did a 16x7, it took you all day when you should have done 2 or 3 if you had everything ready to go. So it's something crazy. Same story here. If you're worth it, can you run your own truck and trustworthy, honest? I'd pay you. Yes. Okay, so Tony, yes, on the IDA sheet. Awesome. Hey, we got a Mr. Sky overhead. That's kind of the thing, right? Cheers. It's good to see you. And oh boy, we might be getting the old. Let's. Oh man, I can't even say that. Like I said, it's the way it probably is. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. And you guys are more than welcome too, because I know you, Rich, can do it. Rich is probably like, I don't know how to do it. I know Rich didn't want to be a admin or whatever, but I know Tony is, and so is Sky overhead. But you guys got the wrenches. I think you can wipe those people out, and you have my blessing if you want to. Like whoever the Daryl, question mark. I don't know what that is. Play hang. I don't know what that is. Okay, so I was actually surprised, Tony here where I live, if you was to pay that to my, oh, bam, look at that. Rich just popped him right out of there. It's like, you're out. And so as I says, I was surprised, Tony here, I live to pay my helper. I've never had to able to get a decent one. Man, it's tough. It's tough. I've had to, unfortunately, sometimes how the world is, I'm gonna get in trouble. I know I'm gonna get in trouble. I don't even want to say it. I'm gonna get in trouble. Let me read some of your comments. Make sure maybe I'll jump into it. Helper, yeah, 20 an hour is not much. Maybe a starting wage, but for good. And the thing is too, is it all depends, where you're at. Like I said, if you're down south, it's a lot cheaper. You know what I mean? Depending, right? But obviously you live in California, things are very expensive. You know, you probably got to get 30, 40, $50 an hour. I mean, it just all depends. A good guy knows what he's doing, trustworthy. Yeah, that's probably about right. 25, 30, what happened to the $5 meals? $5 foot long. Oh man, they don't do $5 foot long anymore. That's got to be gone. I've gone there maybe about a year ago, and that's gone. Needs to make a minimum of an hour just to afford a. Yeah, so like I said, I didn't really want to say it, but you can, let me know if I'm crazy. What I've noticed is that there is so many handouts for a lot of people. And even one of I call him a grunt that worked for me. He won't up his standard, right? He won't up he gets his house paid for. He only has to pay $50 a month. Section 8, whatever, government subsidized. And he only works when he needs money. And I've had a lot of issues with that sometimes where you got to pay them, right? You got to pay them cash. And that's why it's so important that we don't let our kings and queens, as I will say, but the G, we can't get rid of cash, because we do that, we're going to lose control. And we need to all even practice, including myself, right? Using it more and making it more, I talked to a tow truck guy not too long ago, and they've been in business longer than I have, And I said, well, how do we had something getting done. And I said, how do you want me to pay you? And he goes, let's do cash. He goes, cash is simple. And I thought, wow, I like how he says that. Let's do cash. Cash is simple. And I thought, boy, it is, isn't it? We don't have to worry about a bounce check. We don't have to worry about tracking it down. We don't have to worry about a credit card retracting the money. And it's one business owner to another business owner, and it's there. You know what I mean? So, but some of these guys, that's what you got to do. Because the thing is, some weeks you need 20 guys, next week you need 5. And to get them all put on all the whole system and all the right protocols, you'll go belly up. You can't even, you won't survive. So you have to bring them in, and a lot of times they're either, sometimes they're disabled, they're retired, they're get welfare, and I would love to see more of that stuff, besides the retirement and stuff like that. I'd love to see some of the other ones that are the able bodies to not have to, won't be getting this stuff, so they can come out and work. And that way they can replace the guys that need to move up, that are seasoned, that need to be salesmen instead of installers. But that's what I'm always telling you guys. I say, we're fighting, and I would have never known this until I was, a business owner. we're fighting so many battles, and it can really chew on you, and you get to a point where you just kind of go, okay, I want to, almost like it turns into like paparazzi, right? Like you're just like, I don't want them to see me. I don't know who you are or what you are. I don't want you on my property. I don't want, because typically most time it's not good. And yes, other people have our money and we have to go out and do our service and do a great job and all that stuff, but there's so many variables. I mean, and it's like, I think the only people that can relate with me are the ones that run businesses or a garage door business, and they go, there is, there's the trucks, I mean, just material, and it's like, and it amplifies if you get workers, you know what I mean? Like, because for you as an owner, right, you're so used to being programmed that you get yourself out of a wet paper bag, and sometimes they can't, you know what I mean? And that's difficult. And even if you try to, some of them, if you try to train them or teach them or say, look, slow down or this, that, they don't get that. And so, oh, I could go on forever on that. What's up? Nice to see you. Something. I don't know what that was. What's that? It says, any recognition how to get customers for the first time? That's a great question. I still get a lot of that. So Tony says, yes, cash is king, man. I tell you, that's right. So I know there's a lot of people. I still get this a lot, that are starting out and they're like, how do you get it? How do you get it? And sometimes it's really tough for me because I've said it before. We just, besides a recession hitting, you know what I mean? We got just work. It just constantly comes in because, the one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to meet all the criterias, because it always blew my mind, right? When people go to the box store and they'll pay full price. They'll pay full price to the box store, but they won't pay normally full price to the contractor, right? It's normally half down, which is fine. So I wanted everything to be encompassed, right? We got the trucks, we got the secretaries, we got a building, we got the property, we got, we're here, baby. And, but the big thing is like, you can do the signs. I think sometimes it's really slow to get a top, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say a top to spin because they start off fast, but it's really slow to get that snowball effect kind of going, right? But you just got to start, and that's why I'm always like, hey, don't jump out of your normal job. I don't think this is the right economy to do it by any means. This is a lame duck year. We don't know who's going to be the next king of our country, and we still, I'm sure you guys know, Bitcoin's exploded. The stock market was doing good. It went down today. I think it's personally inflated. I think all it could take is one catalyst, and it's going to just, and it's going to be, oh my gosh, bad news, bad news, bad news. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But yes, you can start trying to do stuff on Google. And the thing is what you have to realize that this stuff is very intensive, right? They want vehicles, maybe some stickers. It's like, it all takes time. So that's why I'm always like, just start, because your hardest thing is going to be is getting the phone ringing. And I see people I feel like they're too much worried about certifications. They're worried about, I got to have the right insurance. You'll never have the right insurance. The insurance companies never want to pay. You know what I mean? So they'll find a way to screw it up. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to pay you. So, and the thing is once you start doing it, there's been multiple businesses that I've started over the years. And I was like, I'd get into it, right? And once you start doing something, you go, man, this isn't really what I thought. I did truck driving, and I spent $5,000 in truck driving, right? It did lead into I worked at a municipality, but I realized when I was doing truck, I thought, I don't like this. What the heck was I thinking? But I thought, oh, it's going to be easy, right? You sit in a truck, you shift the gears, you drive down the road. Oh, no. That truck is massive. I mean, when you're going through construction sites and mirrors are getting ripped off, you're hitting construction cones or whatever it is, signs. You got to stop people. You got to be aggressive, sitting there, back your car up. I got to make this turn. I mean, it's not enjoyable. But I didn't know it until I did it, right? But you have this mindset, oh, I'm gonna make all this money, I'm gonna do all this. So that's why I always like, hey, if you can start, and there's so many ways you could do it, right? Like if somebody was to come into the business here and was like, hey, I'd like to do a ride along, or hey, I'd like to, you know, I'll basically do it, free of charge. I'll be a helper. I'll do what you want. I'll clean your tools for you. I'll sweep the floor. I just want to go to the jobs. I want to experience it. Throw some gloves on, get up in the lift. I've had guys, I didn't know this, right? They get in a scissor lift and they're like, oh, I'm afraid of heights. I'm like, yeah, oh, wow, we should have like kind of filtered that out. Like that's kind of what we do. We're kind of in the heights. We're up in the air. We're doing all kinds of things. So, but no, there's no miracle. It's just get out there and start. I mean, yeah, the Google stuff is all good. Try to get your leads. But also, try to think, maybe do a little ad somewhere that's cheap. Do the mats for when you sit down at a restaurant. Put some yard signs out. Put a couple magnet stickers on the vehicle. Best thing is always start out small. I mean, don't go into thinking because I gotta have the truck. Because I'm telling you, a lot of that stuff don't even matter. You know what I mean? It's nice and it looks professional and all these other things, but the customer just wants their stuff fixed. They want it fixed for cheap, or how fast can you do it? Um, you know, da, da. Cash is king. The more you make, the more they take. Boy, isn't that? I love Rich. I really do. I do. That's so true. That is so true, and that's why I get so many. I've gotten so many people that have come into the business and they think, oh my gosh, everything, and it's like you have no clue. You know what I mean? Like if you haven't run a business, for you guys that have run a business, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. It's not, you know, it's not that easy. There's a lot of sacrifices. There's a lot of ups and downs. And like I said, when you realize it's like standing in front of the sun, you know what I mean? And it's like it's cooking you from all different ways. You got shipping problems, you got employee problem, you got secretary problem, you got maybe material, you got your truck is breaking down, there's just all these things that are coming at you all the time, and you just kind of smile. Mm-hmm. 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 I got this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just want to blow up and be like, "Oh, I got a problem too." It's what is it, 99, but you're not one or something? What's that song? Or something. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just it's funny because you realize it's like you're I don't know, it's almost addicting to some point, right? You can kind of get that whole like, wow, I'm busy, I got work, and then all of a sudden you start realizing you're like, oh my gosh, like every time that phone rings, it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem. I got a problem. I got a problem. And sometimes it can really drain you because you're just like, well, I got problems too, but I got nobody to cry to them about except maybe a spouse or, a friend or something here and there, but every day you're dealing with 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever, phone, I got a problem. I got a problem. Hey, or call you and they kind of go, hey, man, you did a really nice install. There has been a few. There's been some residentials that were very courteous and they called about employees or even myself to the secretary, and the secretary would tell me, hey, that guy was real, or that lady was real happy with you. And, that's really nice, and those are easy to shrug off because you kind of go, well, that's what I do. You know what I mean? Like, of course I did a nice job. I always do a nice job. And, but I'm glad she's happy and she expressed it. And it's nice that it goes through the business, and it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. What's this say? So I love collecting cash from the customer if they may not ever go to the bank. So it's kind of weird. Like I used to really like the cash in the business, and then it's like, it's weird because then you get employees, like we have to put everything in envelopes because then stuff's like, if something gets, because things just happen, right? You open up the door, the wind's blowing, whoop, there went some money on a clipboard or something. So it's almost like when you got employees, I'm always kind of like, I'd rather not do cash because it's we've had it before where it's like we've had a pile of cash and then it's like, Where'd this come from? Oh, well, it's this customer, this customer. Oh, well, it's $100 short. So which customer is it? It gets to be, it can be complicated sometimes. What's up, Mister? Is it Natico? Natoxie says hi. Well, hello. What's the mark got here? Says I started with a $49 a month ad in a phone book. It slowly builds for sure, but you need to learn as you grow. Yeah, the phone book was what we started out with. You know what I mean? That was just and that's what came up with the whole affordable, is to bring us at the top of the list. That don't matter anymore because everybody uses Google. But it takes time. You got to ask your customers for reviews. I was just at somewhere today, and I was like, I didn't have a business card on me, and I seen gosh, I wish I could remember where I was at because it was kind of in the corner. I was at a gas station, and at the gas station, kind of by the restroom, they got those boards. You know what I mean? And I don't normally go crazy and put like 3 business cards up or whatever. I just I'll put one up or something. But you got to always be carrying business cards, because you'd be surprised. And see, these are some things like, it's not impossible, but it's funny how things like, I think life is like this. I'll give you a little life advice, I think. You remember at one time there was probably something in your childhood, maybe you like playing with dolls, you women. Maybe, you wanted that extreme bike. Maybe you wanted that motorcycle. Maybe you wanted that car, right? And I think we all do it, right? Well, eventually you get it, right? And you used to take care of it, you polish it, everything, whatever. Then you kind of, now it's just a tool, you just use it. It gets old, whatever, you throw it away, you sell it, whatever, whatever it is. Business can be kind of like that. Because sometimes you get kind of like, I remember how exciting it was, and like I said, how you almost get kind of lazy. And it can all turn into kind of work, is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? But you got to start, right? When you're starting, and it takes a lot. It's a lot of discipline, and you got to keep persistent. But eventually it'll get so, I don't want to say bad, but so good, or whatever you want to say. But people will just, you're almost like for the rest of your life, until you die, you will be known as the garage door guy. I can't tell you how many people, I don't really, I still do it and stuff, like that. But everybody always, oh, you do garage doors, And I'm like, yeah, I do garage doors, and it's funny how long it takes to get off that scent, to train customers and everything, to start calling somebody else. There's a lot that goes into it. And like I said, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm very honored, blessed. I'm glad I was able to, build a wonderful system, that I have wonderful people that work here that are awesome, and they do such a good job, and it's such a great network. But like I said, it can add up, Sky already says, I missed the phone book ads. 50 a month worked well for me. Yeah, those guys were really weird, the phone book guys. I remember the one guy that always came to do it with me. He always had a leather jacket, a black leather jacket. I don't remember his name, but he always, I'd always tell him on the phone, I say, look, I'll sit down with you. And we always went, I didn't want him coming to my house, so we'd always go sit at Barnes & Noble, typically have a coffee or whatever, We'd sit there and he'd give me the whole spiel, right? Well, if you do this plan, oh, hey, now we're offering a marketing thing for a flyer in the mail, blah, blah, blah. Everything just to get in your pockets, you know what I mean? But you got to do something. And I just always tell him right from the get-go, I said, look, I'm not going to do anything with you on the first day. I'm just letting you know that. You're not going to catch me with my pants down. You're not going to put something on me and I don't read the fine print. We'll go over everything. I'll think about it. Give me a few days, and then I'll let you know what I come up with. But like I said, I screwed up. I remember badly when I did it. We have a bigger city, and we call it GR, huge demographic of people. And I thought, I'm going to get on the front page. And I thought, we're going to make so much money. And it was like $85, $90 per phone call. They changed the phone number, which I didn't like doing that because, yes, you can track it. But I noticed my mom, family members, customers, because I'd go there when I'd tell the customer, go, how'd you find us? And they always want to show you or something. They go, here, I got you in the phone book. And I'd look and it'd have a date on it. And I go, that freaking phone book's like 2 years old. Good thing I've been around, and they're using a phone book that's 2 years old. Well, I didn't like doing that because I knew that phone book and that phone number was going to go bye-bye, and somebody's going to call. And then the worst thing is they're going to call and it's going to go, doo-doo-doo, we're sorry, that phone number is no longer in service. It has been disconnected. And they're going to go, oh, well, he must not be in business anymore. And they're just going to go on to somebody else. And I'll be like, no, I'm not out of business. I'm still in business. That was a marketing thing, and that phone book is old, and now my competition gets in there, and maybe I had a good relationship or blah, blah. Anywho, so this thing's $85, $90, whatever, per phone call. And I signed up to it. I had to sign up for it for a year. And I remember through hunting season and everything, I found out that you had 30 seconds to either hang up. I was getting all kinds of people. Hey man, you do and I'm like, hurry up, spit it out. I'm looking, yeah, like my door, it's this. And I'm like, yeah, okay, it's gonna be $65. Oh man, 65. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it for $65. And you're a little bit farther out of my area. You're too far, actually. It's a 45-minute drive one way. And you just cost me $85 and I still can't sell this. You know what I mean? So you can see how this, and it's kind of like Google. I think Google's doing some stuff too. You got to watch that you pay and they're getting you impressions, but they might be out. I'm seeing it myself, right? If you guys, you see stuff on Google, you see stuff on Facebook, you're seeing stuff out of the state and you're like, why would they advertise over here? Why would this place do, you're seeing that. Well, I think that's how they use it. We got impressions. We got you this many impressions. We used up all your money. So it's really tough. The phone books, I think, were kind of actually more honest. But anyways, with that 30 seconds, I found out how to be like, hi, you've reached Affordable Door Gate. Please contact this number. And I'd repeat it like 3 times or 2 times while I had my phone away. So I'd have to hear him go, pah, and I'd screw up like, are you eating a chicken wing? So I just hold away. And then what I found, it seemed like the jobs that turned into something in a sense, they would call the other number. But that's the only way I could do it to get away from the $85, like I said, $90, whatever it was, summer rate in there per phone call. Oh my gosh. Be on the front page of a phone book, like the first full page in a metro that's thousands and thousands of people. That was stupid. Don't do it again, Dave. What's it say? Missed the phone book. Owner equals banker, mechanic, nurse, physician, marriage. Oh man, Rich, that's so true, man. That is so true. I agree. It's, when they say you wear many different hats, boy, that's like an understatement, man. I tell you what, it's many different hats, many different underwear, many pairs of shoes, boots, short sleeves, long sleeve. It's unbelievable. The things that you would have never, like this is what goes through my mind. When I used to go places to get a job, they'd be like, they're, okay, you got reliable transportation? I'm like, yeah. You got to work good work ethic? Yeah. Well, what do you think this job's going to, all these questions basically, right? And I was thought, these are stupid. Like, why do they ask them all those questions? I'm a good person. I show up. I'm here to work. Well, why do you want to work? Well, I got to make money. I got to buy, unfortunately they don't take rocks at the grocery store. So I got to make money, and give them that, for trade. And then when I started coming around, when I'm hiring people, now it's like, you're doing all the you're checking out what they're wearing for shoes, how they're dressed, you got a driver's license, where do you come from, what's your report, I need 3 places to call to do a reference on you, hey, send the other guy, I want, check out what he's driving, it doesn't have to be something super nice, right? But is it got like cigarette butts all up on the dash? Is it burn holes everywhere? Is it like littered with cat hair or dog hair or whatever, is it got, bunch of poopy diapers in the back end of the car. Like, oh, okay, well, obviously he keeps it like that. He's probably, well, and you guys, everybody knows, right? We know when somebody, like, the dishes just piled up today because the kids had ice cream and whatever, right? We all know what it all looks like. We know what vehicles look like when they're just having an off day, right? But we all know when it's like, dude, this thing hasn't been cleaned out in like 6 months, a year, maybe never. Ooh, like, and you're just coming in here because now you're desperate, right? The last day you got to pay rent, and now you're just desperate. It happens all the time. It's a bummer. Is That's right. Crash Story says Rich B is so funny. That's right. Members only. I think tomorrow. That's the reason I did a live tonight too. Was because I think tomorrow I won't be out and about. I got to do something with the kiddo. Yes, business cards, they go behind the wall button. Ooh, I've seen that. I've seen that around here. We had one guy that actually put up stickers, a nice a big yellow one, kind of gaudy in some places I thought, but I walk in there as my competition is like, well, and it was always like a threat to take it off because like my sticker wasn't bigger. And so what I'd always do is I'd always like leave their sticker there, and then I'd put my sticker, be like, my sticker's on the door in case you need us. And I don't want to like tear theirs off and like rip their drywall or their paint. So that was kind of a good idea, but I always thought, God, it's kind of ugly and gaudy. Like, I'm surprised they never, I'm sure they did. Some of them call out and say, I don't want this ugly sticker every time I walk in my door right here. That's why the business card works probably better. But you'd be surprised what a business card. Like I said, was last year when I was out, I was on my knees, I'm working on that keypad, and a guy comes over and he sees the van and everything, and he's like, hey man, I need somebody to work on this. I never heard from him, and I don't know. And I started thinking about it. I thought, maybe I screwed up my phone number, or maybe he typed it in wrong. And I told him, I said, I don't have no business cards on me right now. And he's like, okay. And I said, if you want, I said, take a picture of the side of the van. I said, it's all lettered up. And then I thought, oh, well, I don't want to. If he does that, he's going to call the secretary. He might get overwhelmed, or he might overwhelm her. Like I seen this guy, and she's like, who, what's going on? And then it turns into, did you talk to this guy? Oh, I did. Well, he wants this. So I said, here's my cell, thinking I already knew what the problem was. I knew what he needed. I could probably just price it out for him real easy, but I never heard from him. And I thought, man, I just wish I would have had that extra peace of mind where I would have been like, here's a card. So he has that card. He has the right number, and maybe he just changed his mind. It doesn't, who knows? Tony, what's Tony say? Sharpie. Oh yeah, Sharpies are important. I always look at. I got my normal. This is what I always carry in my pockets now. Always, I carry a Sharpie with me. That's obviously to do your stickers on the garage door. And since I've been a little more into carpentry and rentals, I've always carried this. This works even good for just anything because it just always works. It doesn't fail. I don't know. Just good to have a carpenter's pencil on you. I found out those two things work really good for me. I haven't done a pen because a pen, you know how those are. Sometimes they explode. But a Sharpie, even if you got to write your number down on the back of a card, I mean, this thing comes in so helpful. It's just like having the flashlight, the Leatherman, and some other arsenals. I carry a few other things, But anywho, so like I said, I hope that was kind of helpful for Carter. I know he's probably not on here, but hopefully he'll see this for the residential, but I at least wanted to kind of go over it. I'm trying to think of how I could probably take a picture of this and send it to you, Tony. That's probably the best for this. This thing's sweet. I love this thing. Like I said, it shows you high lift, shows you how much high lift. Boom, 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 how many sections it is. I mean, it tells you right here. I liked it. It says, what does it say right here? Time is money. Like I said, when I seen this, it was the best thing I ever seen. I thought, oh my gosh, I got to copy this and put this out here. It tells you about mans. I mean, with 2 men. It says time show our total mens, which include product unloading, setting up on job site, installation on 2-inch track, wood or steel jams cleanup, byproduct, and final inspection. All that stuff adds up, man. I'm telling you. There's so many things I looked at when I was doing the door business. Well, that it's unforeseen that you just don't think about. Like, you don't think about when you're unloading the truck, right? I always think, when we're there, it's going to take us 4 hours to install a door. No. Nope. Don't forget you had an hour setting up. You had to go there too and maybe drop off material. All these little things can eat at you, and you don't think about it. You really don't. It's really sad sometimes. But anywho, I think I'm gonna jump off here unless you guys got any other questions. I think I got everything kind of covered. What time? We're 8:30. Wow, we're early. We're doing good, man. Drive time. Drive time's a big one, man. I mean, you can mess that up. So like if you don't add in your extra drive time, like I said, I just had a customer, and he was like, it's funny because he asked me, he goes, where do you guys all travel to? And I kind of looked at him. I didn't know what to say. I go, we don't travel very far. And he goes, oh, okay. I just wonder. I said, heck, I said, we used to go, you guys won't know. It's like Petoskey. I said, we used to go to South Haven. I said, we used to go to Lansing. I mean, these things were an hour to 2 hours away in some areas. Now, some of those places I found subs that did some of the work for us. But what I learned is that everything you touch that's got your name on it, that's your baby now, right? That's your baby. You know what I mean? And you're the person they talk to. They're your business card. They got your sticker, right? And that's all they think about. Think about everybody in your life. Your family, your mom, your dad, your uncles, whatever, right? What do they do all the time, right? I bought this car. I'm taking it to the dealership, man. It's making a clunking noise. It's this, right? I mean, it's almost like a given. It's in for humans, right? We love making like the problem somebody else's, and they're going to take care of it. I spend a lot of money. You know what I mean? And so you got to remember every time you touch it. And those customers, they might be all friendly and stuff, but as soon as you start, well, I got to charge you. What do you mean you got to charge me? I mean, you installed this 2 weeks ago. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like you got to really watch that stuff. And then so close, man. The more like I learned this from one of my landscaper buddies. You know what I mean? What's it called? Density. It's route density is so key. And I screwed up when I started. I was going out way too far. You know what I mean? It was that mindset, right? That scarcity, like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, we got a job. You know what I mean? It's 2 hours away one way, but we got it's the only thing that came in. Let's go do it. We gotta go. It's a broken spring. Well, you go up there, right? You forgot something. Maybe you didn't tighten the set screw down or something. The spring comes unwound, or could be the customer's fault. They put a rake or broom. Had to happen. The door goes off. Hey, you were just here 2 days ago, right? And you get there, you don't even know, and you're like, man, I don't know why. Why in the heck did the door, right? And then they don't say nothing. Or maybe the kid comes home or something, right? Oh yeah, mommy, daddy, daddy put a broom in the way yesterday, and you're like, well, this should be a service call. You know what I mean? But now the worst part is, like I said, is you put all that time in the drive, and that's the worst. You put all that time. So that's why if you can have denser population, it's sometimes nicer. I know some guys that do it out in rural areas. I think I only know of one in my area that has a location, and I know he went bankrupt about a year or two ago, and so I don't know who's running it now. But I just know, like I said, like the rural, it's those country folks, they can survive. What's the LiftMaster guy got? The MyQ app at one point have a feature where you could save a door company's info. Ooh, I feel like that was like, could you put your name or something into it? So if it needed like service, I feel like I do remember something like that. Reading it, I never did it. I was always just cool when like LiftMaster came out with like when they started doing the thermometers, the temperature gauge on there. You could do Celsius or what am I trying to think of? Fahrenheit. You know what I mean? And I was like, whoa, it tells you what the temperature is in the garage. It's really cool. And that's why I'm so cold, because I'm freezing. It's 28 degrees in here. But I think there was. I feel like there was. That's. He said, "Good one, man." I've seen it all. I tell you what, I've when I had that old guy when he was messing with it, he was trying to program it to his car, and I found out later I had to do a Lowe's. It was a warranty issue, and I'm up there and I'm like, why did it, and I'm like doing the whole like, and I installed this. Like when I install things because I know what it cost, I try to bulletproof them, just unbelievable. You know what I mean? The kickers are nice and stiff, and everything, right? The wires, I use the right stapler. I use the rounds. I don't use, I make sure I pay attention to everything I'm doing. I want this thing. I don't want to come back here, And when I went back and that guy, and he's like, well, I was trying to get that program to my car. And I'm like, you what? And he's like, I was up there pushing the buttons, and that's why the limits were all off. And I'm like, and honestly, it's like one of those things. I think they're going to pay us like 35, maybe 60. It just the headache, right? We all experience this. It's getting worse. We all experience it with try to call your cable provider. Try to call your cell phone provider. You know what I mean? You know how this goes, guys. The phones, it's like, oh my gosh, I'll just pay $20 extra a month. I don't even want to screw with this anymore. And they'll mess it all up. I changed my phone once through the business, and it was supposed to be like a 3 hour lag time between the whatever, from a cell phone to a landline, whatever. And I was freaking out, man. They said they lost the number when I called back like the second or third time. I'm like, what is going on with this? Like, we have customers that are calling us. They're not getting through. Like, when is this? This is supposed to already happen. We're 4 or 6 hours into this. And I still remember this day when the lady goes, well, we've lost the number. And I'm like, what do you mean you lost the number? This is something I've had for 12 years, this phone number. It's everything. And you lost. Like, I'm like, and all I'm thinking about is like some kid, right, at the cell store, and he's like, they just generate some random number. They give my number, and this kid's like, hello, hi, is this Affordable Door Gate? No, click, something, quit calling me, and I'm like, my number's gone. What am I gonna do? Like, do I gotta bribe this kid? Like, I'll give you $10,000. He's like, no, I want 20. You just never know. But oh man. Oh, we want this. Tony wants this. Tony, shoot me a text. Just shoot me a text. I don't know if Tony got my text number. 231-720-9675. 231-720-9675. Just shoot me a text. And I will take a picture of it for you before I leave the shop. So you have it, because like I said, this thing was gold, dude. This thing, when I seen this in the magazine, like I said, I feel like the IDA, I get the manganese, I can't even say it. Manganese, no. Anyways, I get their little brochure, let's just say. It's getting late. I get their manganese, I can't even say it. Why can I say it's making me mad? Anyways, I get their little brochure, right, in the mail. And this is the stuff that they used to have in it that I thought, like, this is what I wanted, right? I wanted this stuff to help out the small guy. And now it's like, it seems like it's always propaganda. It's always selling this. It's turned into like an advertising, and maybe who's the next president of the IDA, which I'm like, I don't know. That's like, I don't really care. I just, like, I want stuff like this that helps people, helps us guys out, helps the small guys, not, I don't know. I still want my jack shaft. I want my jack shaft opener, my commercial direct couple that they won't give me, that only Overhead has. I'm a little bitter still. So, but yeah, like I said, just shoot me a text and I'll press one. Yeah, man, that's it too. It's just, this stuff has gotten really goofy. It's kind of like when I listen to that auto body guy, and it's sad because this is where America's going. And some of us, we've done it to ourselves. Some of it's been out of our control. When I talk to this body guy, though, he's a really, he kind of actually, don't tell anybody, but he kind of reminds me of Rich. He's just a real good old boy. And anyways, he told me, I said, hey, and it's funny because his name is actually Rick. And I said, Rick, what do you, you built this body shop, you've had it for, he's had it for 20 years probably. Since I was a little kid riding a school bus, I went past that place. And I said, I said, is your son going to take this over? And he goes, no. He goes, my son is, too smart. And he says, he's smarter than that. I said, well, what do you mean? I said, you got a business, you got clientele, you got customers. I said, you got ability. You got everything. You can teach them. And he just said, he goes, no, he goes, it's really not that fun anymore. He goes, it's changed. And I can see where that could be very true with a lot of things, because the older I get, I feel like I lose some of my heroes. And I hope I can be somebody's hero out there that's watching. But I've learned that it's like, like he said, he used to have lunch, he used to have lunch with all these estimators, and they would talk about a car, or talk about this, or what's going on in the industry and stuff. He says, now it's all just, I talk to people in Florida. And they don't even get it. I call them up, say, well, I found more damage. It's going to be another $200. And they said they try to chisel you. It's like there's no more human connection. And that's why, sometimes I tell you maybe, hey, keep the business cards. I think sometimes people are earning, or they're craving the physical stuff again. Like when I see power washing or something, right? Or I do siding, or I do this, or, and it's local. And it's not just some, I don't know if it's because, when you go to Google nowadays, there's so much stuff in there too that's sponsored that you don't know if it's, like, who is this or what is this? Like, it's so different, because the only reason I've seen it was because I do the rentals. It's you're trying to consume these guys and find out if they're good or bad or what they are. And it's amazing. Like when you call, like the first thing you hear, and they're like, hello? Yeah, hi, this is, and you're like, is this A&B Electric? Oh, yeah. And you're like, okay. Very like kind of unprofessional, and it's like, this is my first time. I'm kind of scared, right? Like, you're my first electrician, or, so you have to always think about that with your customers, when they're calling you. This is the first time, this is an experience. And they're absorbing all of it, especially when it's the first time and they're not seasoned vets. Builders are easier, because if you're always with them, right, you're always shooting the crap. What kind of crap you got today? Crooked jams? Oh yeah, what do you got? Crooked doors? Maybe. Shut up. So, I don't know. Every time the customer fool with the opener, it's usually broken from going past. Oh man. We were hitting such a bad spell at one time. I was gonna get those. I was gonna get that tape, like they use at the gas pumps. They tell you to look if it's been tampered with, a tamper-proof tape. I was gonna literally buy some of that somewhere. I was looking heavy at it at the time, and thanks, Tony. I see your thing coming in there. But anyways, I was gonna buy one of those stickers, but I was having a hard time finding one that was like the right size, and I was gonna put it over the limits. Especially like Genies, because they're kind of in their own little like cubby right there. LiftMaster would be tough, but I thought still, even if you coated it with it and it had something like "do not touch," it voids warranty, maybe it would cause the customer to call you and be like, "Hey, this thing's got a sticker on it," and like I was gonna set my my home link or whatever they had going on, and I'd be like, no, or okay, but now they're on my radar that they're messing with it. Right, because that's the worst, like I said. And people, they know, some people aren't stupid. They don't want to pay. They know they messed something up, and it's a shame, because you don't want to be that guy that you just go, well, hey, we warranty it for a year, but then also you're like, oh, we got to come out. Well, it's a $65 or $120 service call, and they're like, what? I thought this is under warranty, But if they're doing stuff, and that's the hard thing, is you don't know what they're doing, What's Mr. Naito say? I always teach the customers how to use and reprogram. That's not a bad idea. The openers, and that they can use the owner's manual / YouTube in case of emergency. That's not a bad idea. For me, it seemed like we get, not all, but like I'd always explain, like a big thing to do is I'd always explain the photo eyes, and I'd make it very clear. If that light blinks, the only reason that light will ever blink is because of photo eyes, right? Because the photo eyes are typically our biggest culprit, right? With garbage cans, cobwebs, rakes, brooms, kids, dogs, cats. So I always would do that, but sometimes I'd get people, I had a few, they don't do the ladders, and I don't, okay, but that's not a bad idea that, hey, check out. And that's why, as things progress, it's almost in a nutshell getting better for you and getting better for me. Because if you can do FaceTime, or I don't know what the one called is for Google, if you have like a Samsung, you know, you could have them like, hey, could you go out there and look at it? And sometimes I see a lot of guys that don't utilize that, right? They just, well, I'm not doing nothing. I'll just run out there. No, 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 because that's that one time that maybe you could have seen something. Oh, your disconnect. I see that it's running, but it's not the trolley. See that? Okay, you got to pull the cord, right? Because that'll be that one time you go out there and you smash up the truck, or you throw some angle iron through somebody's back windshield, or you hit that dog, and you're like, man, I was going out here for a free, I was doing something, because a lot of times it's kind of like what they say, no good deed goes, unpunished. Just kind of sometimes the truth of it. So, but it's not bad. Like I said, I think that's great. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to fix. And Rich makes a good point with it's hard to fix stupid, because that's why I always empowered my secretaries, where I'm like, you guys have the free reign. If this person starts acting snippy, if this person starts acting disrespectful to you, if this person, anything smells suspicious, send them to our competition. Give them some referrals. If we're too busy and you know that, send them off to a couple of good guys that we use. Like, you are the front line. You are the front line. You have to listen, with your ear, and you have to ask a few, right questions and get kind of things moving, because it all could have been avoided if we would have just never even took the job. And sometimes it seems it's really hard to do that when you're first starting out, because you're desperate, you're hungry, you got bills to pay, you bought a newer truck, maybe not brand new, you bought, you got these tools, and you're used to this cushy income of a job or whatever. And now you just, I got to take it. I got another guy that works for me. I got to pay him. I got to. And you're taking these jobs that are, farther away that you shouldn't be, because, and that's why I think it's an illusion sometimes as contractors, we can be busy, but we're not profitable. I've done it many times. Like I said, over $1 million in sales. Woohoo! Yeah, man. You know what I mean? And then it's like, you go through the list, right? And it's like, it says we made $30,000 profit. Okay. And then you look at the bank account. The bank account's got $16,000. And you're going, I don't understand. Well, that's because money hasn't came in and blah, 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 blah. And you just know that you worked your hiney off. And where's the money? Where's the money? And like I said, I've actually done this. I learned this from another guy that I've done, like, basically I did like almost $100,000 less. And we made like another almost like 60,000 by doing that. That's because the big one is travel. The big one is travel, because there's all these underlying things that you're not taking into consideration. Your tires are wearing out. You're not taking consideration the oil changes, the brakes, the bearings in the rear end that are wearing out. I'm going to take the trailer. You didn't need the trailer though, right? You didn't need the scissor lift. These are things that, and I got many stink eyes where it's like, I tell guys, I'd be like, why don't you go up to that job? And there's normally a scissor lift there. They let you use it. If they're not, I will bring it to you. Because in my mind, if you take that scissor lift, I know it seems silly, but that's extra weight. The roads maybe aren't the best. You hit the brakes. Now that scissor lift, that trailer pushes you into somebody, you smash, and, you hurt yourself or hurt somebody else, or the equipment gets all mangled up, and, because there's nothing worse. They drove up there with it and they go, oh, we didn't need it. And you go, well, that's extra wear and tear on the bearings and the tires. And now it's a sloppy mess. Maybe last week I power washed it, got it all cleaned up. Now it's all salted up again if you live in the Rust Belt area. So it can be tough. What's mad? Yeah, it says Tanner's name and Rich. He says, Stupid or lazy, man. I tell you, people are uh, photo eyes, easy to see. Oh yeah, yeah, the new photo eyes. Heck yeah. FaceTime tonight to a customer. Oh, sweet. That's awesome. You know, the whole FaceTime, I wasn't on board. Then it's like I got to the iPhone, and then the kids, that's kind of the kids thing, and then I would definitely use it to my advantage. I cannot tell you how many times I still get this to this day. And these are like, there's people that know me, and they'll send something to me, and I always tell them, I go, you got a picture? Now, it might be just my dumbness, right? But I almost, to me, this is how I work, right? If you send me a picture, I could probably see what's wrong in that picture and I already know the whole conversation. I already know what you're fighting. I already know what you're looking at. I already know the dilemma. I already know what you're going to say. But I'll get people that write me a message and they'll say, oh, this and this and this. And I'm like, can you send me a picture? I just had it last week. I had a customer that was referred from another customer. Great people. The guy calls, right? And he's kind of not going through the right chain of commands, but he got my number, whatever. He calls me. I'm not going to turn it down. Not that type of guy. And I'm like, all right, I got this. I got this in the bag, and so he calls me. And like I said, my phone is always on silent. So unless we schedule a phone call, I don't answer my phone because over the years, it's gotten worse. I got too many Google. I got too many spam. I got your car insurance needs to be renewed, which is a lie. I got, would you like to extend your car warranty? And I tell them, I say, no, I ride horses. I don't need to extend my car warranty. And they still just keep talking and they waste my time. So I never answer my phone. Now, some people obviously can't do that because you're heavy in business, you know what I mean? But I got secretaries, they do a great job. They're actually better than me because I will screw it up. If you tell me an address and all that, I'll probably screw it up. But if you text it to me, I got it. Guess who's responsible for it? Me, because I got to enter it in or I got to click on it, and you, because it's documented. So when I got the wrong address and I go, what happened here? And they go, well, I sent it to you. And I go, look at your message. It's wrong. Oh, I'm sorry. Right. Instead of it always being 100%. See how I changed that up a little bit? So anyways, I never answer. Anyways, he leaves me a text message or he leaves me a voicemail. And he wanted to know if something about with a tear out and stuff like that. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, my first thing is I want pictures. I'm pretty sure this guy knows how to use a phone. We're in that era. They're pretty much everybody. So first thing I do, I shot him a text. I said, hey, can you send me some pictures? Let's not even waste each other's time. Sure enough, he sent me about 5 or 6 pictures. I got a scope of what was going on. Okay, not a problem. Let's take a look at this, and so we move forward, you know what I mean? But like I said, boom, all started out with pictures. I could have drove up there. I could have looked at it. I could have wasted all this time, wasted his time, wasted my time. That's why I say pictures, get pictures. Secretaries know. Like I said, when it comes to me, the first thing I'm going to do is, where's the pictures? I go to Jobber or something, where's the pictures? I had one when we did the door. I guess there was pictures, they were buried somewhere, but I didn't have pictures right at my first thing, and I'm like, I could be at the wrong house installing this door. I wasn't the one out here detailing this or didn't, basically sell it. What if I'm at the wrong house? This person said they're going to leave the place unlocked. There's nobody going to be home. I've done it. I came really close. We're getting the tools out of the truck, and the neighbor person comes over and goes, hey, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, what? And the houses were all cookie cutter the same size doors, same size houses. Like somebody built this whole stretch, 20 houses. And next thing I know, you're at the wrong house. Huh? Oh, crap. We're like one number off or whatever. Shoot, how do we screw that up? Well, the landlord or whoever told us the wrong address, so I had to call him, and he's like, oh, no, and since he's a landlord and he's got multiple houses, it could easily it ain't his personal house. So we almost installed the garage door at the wrong one, and it was banged up. It looked like it needed, and I was like, I told the lady, she goes, that's okay. She goes, you can do it. She goes, my door needs it. And he goes, it would be free. And I said, oh no. She goes, well, I can't afford it, And I said, we got to go next door. I'm really sorry about this. This is really embarrassing. You know what I mean? Because it was one of those things. It was a tenant The tenant knew about it, but it was like we didn't have to interact with them. We're not getting paid by them, blah, blah, blah. Luckily, the one over there knew we were coming, come out and said something. We would have had the other door tore out, gobbled up like a pop can, and thrown in the back of the vehicle. But like I said, if somebody was there, right, the houses were different colors. If they would have took a picture, we would have seen the creases in the door. We would have been like, what the heck? This picture doesn't, this don't look right. That's if the guys even check, right? Some guys, you know how that goes. And turn into a PM. What does it says? Too funny, Dave. Yeah, it says, stupid as I turn into a PM call. Yep, that's all you do. Turn it. It's preventative maintenance, charge them a service call, whatever, you know. Here you go. I got to make money, unfortunately, you know, and I've done that too many times where it was like you go out and you don't charge, you know, and then I've had guys that do it too. They don't charge. And it's like, dude, you can't do that. It's even worse when you have employees because it's like in your mind, you're going, I'm paying you whatever, 10, 20, 50, $100 an hour, whatever the number is. And you're driving out there, you've been gone for 2 or 3 hours. The truck, the gas, the tires, you got to charge something. You know what I mean? Like, you know, how about we do this? How about you go out there and I don't pay you? I'll pay for the gas and I pay you for the vehicle, but I won't pay you. Well, I got it. Exactly. Well, that's kind of how it's going here. Yeah. Right across the street from where I live, you had to come over, do a couple skits. That's funny. Yeah, that's right. I'm sure if we got a couple of us, you know, got Rich, Tony, Sky, you know, Tanner, you know, I bet we could make a little whole podcast and tell some stories, man. I'd love to hear them too. I just, you know, like I said, I love the interaction because I'm always like, I'm not so crazy. I'm not so alone. Says, I'm in search of, I'm assuming secretary should always do a minimum survey. I think we're supposed to get thunder tonight, so I thought I just heard something. It scared me almost. Survey whenever customers call before sending guys and a million callbacks because the customer blocked safety eyes with trash. Yes, exactly. The secretaries, they don't, you know, if there's any secretaries out there that listen to me or whatever, you guys are so important. You're such a important part of the business to be a filter. And, you know, I always feel like they're kind of like somewhat of like the I don't know how to explain it. You know, they're part of the orchestra or whatever, but they can set the tempo and they also need to know kind of what's going on. You know, where the guys kind of doing, what is their day like? And that's why I really always liked, you know, I like the jobber because everything is encompassed and they can see it. They can go in there. Now, trust me, it still can fail because if people aren't going in there and entering in, hey, this is what I got today. This is what I'm predicting for tomorrow. There can be some failures, but we all know when you start hearing certain things, right, that the customer's firing off, this is probably not a good fit. You know what I mean? And like I said, you get some pictures. I mean, there's been times I looked at pictures, I go, no, there's no way. I know where this is at. I know what this is. The building's crooked. I literally was going down the road the other day and I seen one. And I told my wife this was obviously my fault. This was years ago. And I said, I remember going to that house. I said, the lady came to the door with a shotgun. She goes, a shotgun? I said, yep. I said, well, that's the kind of area. I said, she had a shotgun and she had a pit bull. And that pit bull was not just sitting there, a woof, you know, just right there. And I'm like, is this thing going to bite me? The guy I was with, he wouldn't even get out of the truck. Now, mind you, she had a little detached garage, 9x7 door, 8x7. Could have been 8x7. It was small. The building was leaning. It was my fault for putting it on there, but the building kept leaning, so everything kept getting out of whack. And I finally got to a point where I told her, I said, you got to get this built. I mean, she has a hole in the back of her garage. And it was one of those things. It was my fault. I should have just said, no, we will not. But if I would have had pictures in the secretary, maybe we were more experienced. Like I said, I'm taking blame for this one. This was my young years. But I wish so badly I would have just said, no, this is not going to be a good fit. But I was sitting there going, but we're going to make, you know, $100 or $200, you know, and that's going to help pay the bills. And, you know, it's going to get us a different, you know, but doesn't matter. What's the byproduct? Are you going to be a person that, you know, going to honor it? Are you going to be a, you know, and I went there multiple times, like I said, and she just, I mean, her mind, she was so angry and upset. And I'm like, What do you want me to do? Your building's falling down. Like, you need to get somebody here to shore it up. I don't even care if they put crosses in it, whatever, but, and she was just in a horrible area. I mean, and it's just like, we got to a point where we like don't even service that area. It's like, if they call and it's like, we go, unfortunately, we just, and it's not that we want to, it's just that sometimes we have to, because you got to make sure the vehicles are locked as soon as you walk away. I mean, I've had one where the lady was trying to trap me in her garage door or in her garage, and she's sitting there and she's like, they're watching us. And I'm like, who? And she's like, everybody. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get murdered, and I'm like sitting there hitting the safety beam trying to get the door, and she's just sitting there pushing the button harder. Why won't their garage door go down? And I'm like, and she didn't want me there for the garage door. She wanted me there for a man door. Somebody didn't filter that one out too well. You know what I mean? And even if she would have sent pictures, and I'd be like, why are we looking at pictures of a man door? And then she goes to tell me that she's the one that kicked the door in. I mean, cuckoo. I mean, and she's like, yeah, insurance, they're fighting me. They won't pay it. And I'm like, but you did it. Like, I don't even see how this, I mean, she was whacked. Let's see here. Bridge B. Oh yeah, this is Tanner. What's total did? He says that in 2012 or 13. We given wrong address. Ooh, showed up. Door was same size. Oh man, we had in the truck, so we thought nothing about it. Tore the old door, ooh, out, and halfway done with the new one. Oh man, I tell you, I still have that PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, or whatever, because I'm still like, I've gone in places, right? Obviously, I don't recommend it, but you cut the cables, right? You're like, you want to go super fast. You go in, you cut the cables. Spring does, especially depending on where it's at. If it's just all wood, it's got a good mount, pow. You cut that puppy, boom, springs unload, makes a bunch of dust, bunch of noise, right? No customer there. And now it's like, I'm always sitting there, like I'll take the door apart and almost kind of be like somewhat gentle if it's still in good shape or something. Not because I want to save it or anything like that, but I do it because I'm like, what if I miss something? What if I overlook something? I go to put in the door, because I had this happen with a brand new install one time. We unpackaged the whole door. We never threw a tape measure on it. We go to put the door section in. It's a foot short on the other side. Well, the builder was originally going to build this size, and he changed it and didn't tell us. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Now I just brung this door out here. I just took it out of the van. I just put it on sawhorses. I just undid all the cardboard off of it, and now I got a door that's open that's going to go back to the shop, get dirty, scratched, dinged, and now I got to figure out, I'm like, and if I would have just pulled out a freaking tape measure, I would have been so much better off. And so, yes, I've had that happen. We've actually had a guy that worked here before, and it was a apartment complex. I think he changed out like 4 or 6 doors, and they realized that the doors were on the other side of the building that you're supposed to change out, not these ones. He had a long night. And I tried to explain to him, I said, look, this is why you can never micromanage enough, it seems like. And I said, next time, because you know how it is, the property manager's there, they're not. I said, have them go around and put stickers on them, whatever they want, pink sticker, whatever. I said, so it's very clear. I don't even care if they mark on the door, A1, A2, 1, 2, 3, something that makes it like, well, you put a purple sticker on it. So you said anything with purple stickers, and I don't know how a purple square sticker with a elephant on it got on the door, but that's the one I changed. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's just these silly things that you got to do, it seems like, to mitigate some of this stuff sometimes. It just, just when you think when you've seen it all, they come right in again, don't they? And you're just like, wow, they spanked me again. Oh my gosh. Tanner says, door when the homeowner got home, oh boy, asked what we were doing and thought he was kidding. Come to find out, we did it. Oh my gosh. And it says face tear out. Install a door at the wrong house. Oh my gosh. I was 2 to 3 years in. Oh my gosh, man, that's just the worst. It's just so bad. And you know how it is, you're out there, you're hustling, man. I know how it is. You're out there busting your hiney, you're trying to make a living, you're trying to, make yourself, something, and then you're sweating. You cut your fingers, you got whatever, and it's like, dude, I mean, you just, oh, and then to hear that, and then, like I said, I've been there where it's like the person's like, man, what are you doing? And you're kind of like doing like like you nudge them, kind of like, what, you, you're joking, right? No. And they're like being, you're like, you're joking, man. No, I'm not joking. You got to be freaking kidding me. They're like, I mean, it's just like that instant, like you just turn pale, and you're like, oh my gosh. That's I've had it where I've literally even taken like wood doors and stuff like that. I've taken them out cautiously because I've had the fear. I've had this. I've been burned so many times where I've had it where I thought a customer is going to be like, they come out. I don't like it. And you know how it is, guys. You guys know how it is. You just have those days, right? We're men. And you just like, you know what? You know, I'm not happy or something didn't turn out right. And you're like, screw it. You're like, not a problem. I didn't want to do this job anyways. I'm going to tear my crap out and I'll put your old door back in. And don't you ever call me again. It's just, because you just never know. You just never know how things are going to turn out. I've had it where maybe I missed something. Maybe, the jam's a little weird size or something. And maybe, just maybe, and I just always, I'm gonna put this over here cautiously. It's always been like good luck to me. That's how I've always looked at it. Now, sometimes everything's gonna go the way it is, and I had the mindset, I'm just gonna eat this son of a biscuit. I don't care. Like, I just go and grind the hinges off if it's, got the squares or whatever. What's up, Mr. Tin Man? Got the old ambulance running by. Yep, ambulance. What I miss? You missed all kinds of good stuff. I didn't miss, just the normal, As Tanner says, done that also. This contractor told me 16 by 8. Ooh. In a text, confirmed door quote, and said contractor tore out old door, got out bottom 2 feet. Oh, yeah, man. Oh, man. It was, yeah, yep. Yeah, he just laughed, right? The builder just laughs. Oh man, I tell you what, that's why you guys know how I am about the contracts. I'm always trying to really stress everybody in the business, in this business, in every business, you got to have it signed because I just seen it. I think it was last year, twice. Cap had somebody, and I don't think it affects him maybe as much as it does me, but I look at it and I go, the builder, nothing was built yet, right? And he's like, he made it like another foot taller. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, here, here's the contract. Here's the paper. Here's what he signed. This ain't our fault. Like, he looked at this. He signed this. That's all I'm trying to do is you need them to sign. So they acknowledge it because these guys, especially the builders, right? They will constantly, if you don't have nothing to hold against them, they will constantly, oh, that was you. It's like they're programmed to say that about everything, right? It was the concrete guy. It was the roofer. It was the framer. It wasn't me, And it's like, and I'm okay. Things happen, right? But what I don't like, what really, really irritates me, is when I feel like the donkey, and I don't know what happened, and that's what really grinds me. I want to know what happened. Did I screw up? Did the secretary screw up? Did the vendor screw up? Did the delivery guy screw up? Did the warehouse screw up? Did I grab the wrong door at the shop? Where in the heck is the screw up? But unless you have that paper that spells everything out, 16 by 7, blah, 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 it's signed by the builder, I sleep good at night. I go, oh, well, obviously it says right here what it was. And obviously he changed something. Sometimes they tell you, sometimes they don't. But, oh, well, we're going to have to make it right, but we'll see you in 3 weeks or we'll see you in 6 months, whatever the, situation of the economy is. And contract says this is what we brung. Sorry, and that's just such a great feeling to me because oh man, I just had that too many times. And I'd always try to tell people, I'd be like, I try to tell secretary, I try to call the vendors, and I'm like, here's the thing. I'm not mad, but where did we screw up? And when you're in the business, I mean, you got bullets flying everywhere, right? I mean, you got pads of paper. You're writing here. You're writing on the phone. You're writing notes on the walls. It's everywhere. And that stuff right there would always make me feel like I'm like, man, I'm a screw up. You know what I mean? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, what's this? And the builders sometimes they can make you feel it as, well, that's not what I ordered. No, no. 18, and you got 16. I don't know where you were thinking that, but if you don't have something signed by them, you go, where am I thinking that? You know, hey, buddy, it's right here. It's right here. Contract says you signed, I ordered. That's how it works. You sign, I order. Done. Also, let's see. Laughed. What is it? It says, and said, I just assumed it was 16 and never. Oh my gosh. He says, my bad. So he's there putting the old door back in. And that's the thing is like, it's like, I mean, probably in that situation, if it was me, it's the builder. He's kind of our salesman. He gets us other jobs and stuff. So I'm probably not going to charge him. You know what I mean? And it's even like I said, it's just a matter of that contract that I want to know where the problem was. Because obviously, it sounds like Tanner. It sounds like your builder. He's probably up front and whatever. But some of the guys I've had, they just like, why'd you get that? And I'm like, well, that's what I told you on the phone. See, that stuff doesn't fly with me anymore. That's what I told you on the floor. Screw that. You know what I mean? I don't even like text messages. I still don't even trust the emails because all I hear is when people do it, they got to go back all through it. I know that's what he said. Let me go in the emails. And then it's like, it's almost like they find it, but it doesn't have the same merit to it. You know what I mean? Like they'll go, oh, it's right here. And they'll send it to them or send it to you. And they go, and it's like, okay, I see that. But is that what he was thinking? You know what I mean? Was he in a different frame of mind? Was he thinking about a different job? Did he change? But if he signs it, that's the end. That's signed, baby. That's why everything in your life is signed, right? You deal with an attorney, you deal with a divorce, you deal with a marriage, you sign. You deal with a kid, a birth, everything. It's a signature. You get material dropped off at your house. It's signed. I mean, the only ones obviously they don't really do is Amazon and stuff like that, but they take pictures and they're in probably a different situation. But what I'm saying is it's all signed. You get a delivery, you sign. You sign. You know what I mean? And once you sign, right, if you got vendors coming to you, they technically don't have to, you signed off, everything was there. Now luckily if they're good vendors, they understand or they'll find it at the warehouse. Oh yeah, what you said is missing is at the warehouse, they missed it. But I want something signed, because like I said, it makes me feel like crap where I don't know where the problem was. Cause I'm like, I might've told them wrong. And those things happen. So I'm not saying this really directed obviously towards Tanner. I just, in general, for guys starting out, that I just cannot stress enough to slow down. And these are still going to happen, but it's so much better when you got that piece of paper and you go, and so like, I don't have a clipboard, but when I had my clipboard, I had the stuff from I'd have stuff from the vendor on there. I mean, I had everything, right? I mean, I'd have the stuff from the vendor on there so I could see, right? Because the vendor writes certain things. Sometimes they write stuff in pen. I could see what they gave us. I seen the estimate. I seen like whatever the invoice. I mean, I want everything. I want pictures. I'd even have pictures. We'd print pictures out. Jobber can probably take care of a lot of this. But I want everything right there at my disposal. So when I show up and it's like, this isn't right. And then you can go, right here. Or I've had it where the vendor sends the wrong stuff. It's like, well, this is the right number, but they've shoved the box says 16 or whatever, but it's a 10-footer. You know what I mean? Like they screwed this up. And then, but I want all the information right there at my disposal. But there's nothing better than having that signature and going, you signed, and it's not that you got to rub it in their face or anything, and we're going to figure it out, but it makes you sleep so much better going, hey, I didn't screw it up. My secretary didn't screw it up. The vendor, it's on you, because they'll do that a lot. How does it say? Concrete guys are the worst. It says builders want the door in first. Yeah, what is up with that, Tin Man? I tell you what, my buddy, he worked for a builder, and I mean, this builder, I don't know why they did what they did, but they do the garage. It was an attached garage to the house, and I mean, there was a hole in that garage. I mean, you could walk under it. Like if you put a garage door up, and pinned it on the track, you could literally walk in the garage, and the garage door would just skim your top of your head or something. And my buddy, I didn't realize at the time that he was installing these for this big builder at the time, and I thought I wanted to get with this builder because he was just popping up houses like galore. And I remember, but then the 2006, 7, 8 stuff happened, and poof, he went bye bye, big time. And he didn't pay. Like, I remember my buddy saying how he was working for his uncle at the time that owned the door company, and he got burned. They didn't go out, but I heard of a couple other door companies that went out. And I told him, I said, he goes, heck yeah. He goes, we had, 12-foot ladders or pull-out ladders on both sides. He says, both me and my uncle, whatever, and we'd be stacking, we'd bolt the bottom of the track. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. He's like, but it was kind of one of those things, like, if you wanted to work for him, that's how you did it, because otherwise he was going to find somebody else. And we did whatever. He did like 100 doors or something, I think a year or something through him. I can't remember. But yeah, the concrete, like I said, this is door and first, and yeah, I don't understand. I mean, there's nothing worse too. Like when you come back, as to do a revamp or whatever, put another door in, and years later, and the stinking track is buried in the concrete, and you got to sawzall it off, and it looks like crap, or it's stuck in there, and you're wiggling, and you're breaking the concrete, and you're like, who did this? Why? Yeah, that's true. Still sitting on an 8 by 12. A guy ordered, oh my gosh, it was his second door. First transaction went great. Oh boy, never paid for the 8 still at the shop. Man, oh man. Man, that's a bummer. Dude, that's a bummer. I've been there. And I think that's a great point, Tony, because it's just why we gotta always get I heard it through my a builder guy. He did garage doors a little bit too, I guess, but I remember him always saying how he said, you really need to cover your material, and he said you always gotta, you know, the material, when you get your half down, however you gotta kind of do it in a sense, if you can. I know it's not always doable, but you gotta really almost cover that material. And I think that's so true. And trust me, we're not perfect in this by any imagination. I've had it a lot sometimes. I can't say anymore, but sometimes the secretary doesn't understand the process of operation, and these customers they've overran me before. They've overran my secretaries before. They've overran my guys, and it's like the guys, guys and women, they come up and they're like, well, they want it right now. They want it right now. They want it right now. So I got to get it. Well, and it happens, right? You order it, and you forget to collect whatever, or this or that happens. And next thing they change something on you. And that's why it's so important, like I said, to have everything just sign, slow down. I don't, where's that? Let me see if this thing will show. I got this for one of the guys one time that worked here, and hopefully I don't turn this off or something goofy. See if I can do this. And I think this has a lot of merit to it. This is great. This right here. Bad planning on your part doesn't constitute an emergency on my part. So true. So true. This is another one that was a great life lesson, I think. I don't want to... I changed it because it said something bad on it. Well, here's another one. It's right here. We offer 3 kinds of service. Good, cheap, fast. You can pick any 2. Good service, cheap, won't be fast. Good service, fast, won't be cheap. Fast service, cheap, won't be good. Those are just some simple things in life that I really, 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 really think are very true. You know what I mean? And once you start controlling that, your life will become a lot easier because you won't let people take advantage of you. And that's the big thing is people will take advantage of you. Customers do not care that you go out of business. Customers do not care that, they just don't care. And so that was a hard thing because they can act like your friend. They can be, all these things, and they don't care. You know what I mean? They care about their job, their position. How fast can we get the house built? How fast can we get this done? And that's why I always say it's like a marriage. We have to find out if we're a good marriage, we're a good partnership. So we got to do a little dating. We got to do a little money exchange. We got to wash some dishes together. You know what I mean? Like we got to make sure we can kind of mingle without just, you know what I'm saying? So it's just, you got to remember that there's like that took me a long time to figure out that people will waste your time. And that's why I'm always a big advocate about the phone. Because as soon as I see pictures and I see garbage in the back, I see dog doo doo in the back, I see the house is ran down, I understand the situation. I'm like, what are you trying to achieve here? What are you doing? Oh, well, I have to replace this, and I have to get a price because I'm going to turn it into my insurance, and I'm basically going to use it for other bad things or something. You know what I mean? Then, you know what? Let me look at the schedule. Whoa, we're really, I don't know if we're going to be a good fit. You probably should call these guys. And that's why you always got to be really careful too, right? Because I've had this, where we've gotten phone calls and they, from another door company, they go, oh, we recommend it. And I'm always like, wait, let's meditate. Let's think about this. Why would they turn that down? Why is this customer now calling us? All these things, just very methodical. It says at least with a 12, you've got options to sell. Oh, it's funny. Sell 8x8, 8x10. Yeah, I've had those before. Like I said, just throw it out by the road for a cheap price or put it out in the old market. It's too bad we don't have the cough syndrome going on, right? Because doors were going cuckoo. I mean, I was driving around this whole great state of Michigan, finding doors that were abandoned and left behind. I was like the guy finding the collector's cars. You know what I mean? Like some that the guy bought, and these people didn't even know what they had. Right? They're like the reason I took his door is it was behind barn doors in the front, so the door never got any kind of weather. Hardly ever got used. I needed it because I think it was, I don't know if it was 12x10 or 10x10 insulated. I needed it for the builder because we just couldn't get doors. And, so these things were just selling like hotcakes, you know what I mean? And so people just, I made a lot of doors doing that, modified them, cut them down, insulated them. I mean, it was just crazy. I don't want to ever do it again, honestly. Oh yeah, 10 man. He says, I think that's supposed to be 10 million. I could part it out. It was $1,700. Wow, man, that thing is expensive. That I didn't need to spend. Yeah, $1,700 could go like in the truck and go into openers. It could go into a lot of. Been there, and then you got to store it. That's the worst. You know what I mean? Like some people don't look at that stuff, but I do. And I'm like, I'm not a freaking storage unit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hang on to this stuff. It's in my way. We got to rotate it. We got other stuff coming in. You got workers or whoever, and then the stuff gets damaged. Now you're like, I've been holding on to this for 8 months and then have one problem. And you just dropped a spring on it and you just dented it. And you're like, now it's worth basically nothing. Thanks, dude. It says, yeah, that was my day today. In a nutshell, went to start. That's a big door. 26x18 show up, and it was dirt. Oh, I knew that, but it didn't when I quoted it. Oh, no. And charge more since it's a pain. Oh, yeah, right in the behind. But we got it. Dang, man. I tell you, I still have to. I still have to catch myself, like, and I think we all have to do this. And I'm, like I said, I'm getting better, but I still, it's so important. Like you almost got to think about it. Like you almost got to let the customer know. I don't even know how to say it, but you got to let them know through the whole process. You know what I mean? Like, oh, your door's coming in. Oh, yes, your door's here. Oh, yes, we're going to plan on installing it. And then you have to let them know like that day, which I know you shouldn't, but it seems like it just can eliminate, you know, like I got so sick of people having like cars in there, you know, and you'd be surprised, right? If you call them or text them, oh, that's right, I forgot, I totally forgot. Nobody's gonna be there. Well, if nobody's gonna be there, then I'm sure as heck not gonna be there because I need to collect full payment or the rest of the payment, I guess we're gonna have to reschedule. You know what I mean? Like all these things are, hey, by the way, could you, like you have to think like, could you send me a couple pictures? I'm just curious of what it looks like, and then they send you a picture and you're like, oh my gosh, this dirt floor is like I was not, I don't know about you guys, but I like to be I do not enjoy surprises. And I honestly it's because of the business. Because surprises in a business normally mean negative money, you know what I mean? Or, oh my gosh, how are we going to fix this? So I like as much preparation. I like to know what's coming down the pipeline. I mean, I do not like surprises. I just do not like them. I don't like them birthday. I don't like any of them personally. I don't like it. I like it. If I want something, I'll get it. I do not like surprises. And I think the business has honestly done that to me where it's just like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's, I don't know. What does it say? 26 says chairs. Yes. Going through the hardware boxes, Mr. Tanner says, and they forgot bottom brackets. And top fixtures. What in the flippy flop? I mean, how does this even get out the door? Like I just now I really now I rarely have this happen to me, but turned into a Monday real quick. Oh my gosh. Dude, man, I tell you, that's what I feel like we're fighting. That's what I try to. I mean, I'm so happy that Tanner brung this up because I feel like this is what I tried to explain to a lot of people, and it's very tough because me and my wife were talking about this today, and it's something to do. She knows what it's called. I forget what it's called, but we are the end installers, and there's a problem with being an end installer. I think in any service business, to be honest with you, because it's almost like you're dealing with a customer, right? And I mean, you're dealing with the customer one on one, one on one. You're gonna make my garage door look so pretty. You're gonna put the hardware on it. You're gonna put the handle on. You're gonna get my door installed so we can stay warm, keep the wind out, keep the boogeyman out, keep the wolf out. Yes, yes, yes. And it's gonna make my place look so pretty and look nice and all these. You got all these things. Yes, 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 yes. And then you already got like, oh my gosh, I hope my impact works today. And it's not a Milwaukee that just has a weird ghost in it that doesn't work today because I don't have the next one. Gosh, I hope my batteries are charged. Oh my gosh, I forgot to fill the nut and bolt screw bins. Boy, I hope I got enough to do this job. Son of a gun, who am I gonna call? Who's gonna be my runner? Do I gotta go back? If I go back, I gotta stop what I'm doing. Like, that's not good. Like, because I'm the only one that knows how to do this. So, like, oh my gosh, do I call my mom? Do I call my dad? Do I call my wife? Do I call and then oh my gosh, like have to get an earpiece because I'm gonna have to talk to them the whole way through to find it because they're gonna go in the shop. They don't know how to get in there. They don't have a badge. They don't know where the keys at. They don't know where the screws are at and the nuts and bolts. And I need 3/8. I don't want 5/16, not 5/16. Please don't screw that up because you screw that up, that's another wasted trip. And oh my gosh, why did I take this job? This job is 45 minutes to an hour away, one way. Oh my gosh, what if they bring me? Can you send me a picture? Can you actually show me like screwing it? Can you put a tape measure up against so I know they're actually 3/8 and not 5/16? You know, all these things, and you're just going, if I would have done it last night, if I wouldn't have forgot, if I would have made a list, all these things that can challenge you. And then you got the vendor that's in a climate control environment that some of them weigh the product. And I think they're like that little guy that sprinkles a little bit of salt, right? They showed him on the internet. He sprinkles a little bit. Or they do like the salt. He does salt like in the back of a salt truck, right? And that's what they do, right? They just, this box is, it's half a pound off. Yeah, this looks good. Let's just throw this in here and, yep, that should work. I'll throw that in there. Oh, voila! I made up the half a pound. Awesome. Here you go. Not my problem. They don't do quality control checks. I don't have to put my initials on them. I don't have to go through a checklist. I'm just a temp. Probably gonna get fired anyway. As soon as I get my $50 and pay for my Section 8 housing, life is good, and I can go play pool. So then and then it's like that's just like we get stuck with it. Right now we're there, and oh well, I got bottom brackets, but not really the right bottom brackets, or maybe I got to go back, or this, or top brackets. Then you call the vendor, right? Oh, we're sorry, whatever. Can you send us the part number? Can you take a picture of the box? Because like they act almost like they're going to do some big investigation that's not going to really happen. And oh, we'll just send you some. Okay, when you send me some, make sure you send it with pop cookies, beer, and how about $500? That'll make it feel okay. You know what I mean? But that's not how it happens, right? They'll send it to you, and you're like, well, I was at the job, man. But see, like, what I'm trying to explain is like, when we're at the end, we have all these variables. And if you're in the middle, right, because they're in an insulated, isolated piece of property, I'm sorry to hear that. Why don't you bring it back? Why don't you stop by? Stop by. You're like 6 hours away from me. I can't just stop by. And even stop by, you got corporations, you got an office, you got a secretary. They won't let me in. I have to go through 4 hours of training just to walk through your warehouse to find where you're at. Could you please just send me the right crap? You know what I'm saying? Like, so for them, yeah, they're out a few parts. It happens. And that's why when we're the end, like we are, I think we kind of get, we're like, I don't know if I want to say miracle workers, but we're close, and we have to figure out this problem and figure out this situation, versus if you're in a controlled environment like a property. Like I always, my buddy right down the road, great dude. I'm like, I know he's got worker problems too and everything. Everybody does, right? But I'm like, hey, at least you're in like you have surveillance cameras. Everybody's supposed to come to a location at the same time. Like, if somebody has a problem, you send something out and they have a problem, bring it back. And so you're not what I'm trying to say here? Does this make any sense? Like, you don't have to go out with a vehicle and waste your time looking at something and you're like, Mrs. Jones, it was the photo I told you 4 times, you know. But like if somebody brings you back a vehicle, you can look at it, you can see it, you can diagnose it, or you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to use like an example. When you're in a controlled environment, we're not in controlled environments. We're going out. We have a ton of variables. We got trucks, we got trailers, we got tires, we got nails, we got screws, we got blown out. The oil change guy forgot to put the drain plug in at the oil change place, and now I spilled out oil and I burned up the motor. The opener's not working, and it's not even your fault. You didn't realize that LiftMaster went from dry contacts to wet contacts, or whatever they call them. You know what I mean? I just like to put that out there. Sorry for my rant. Going through yeah. Oh, Tin Man, it's gonna be going into my building. I'm gonna make it an 8. That's funny. That 8x8 makes me think of that roll up door. I've told the story out about. The builder actually paid me in full to install. And so they probably just paid. Oh, we're still playing the hole. And I sat on it for like 3 years. And I was like, but bigger. And I was like, this is it. This is it. This is the last phone call. I'm not calling again. And then I remember I installed it. My business partner at the time, he goes, what are you going to do if they call? And I said, I'll buy another one. I said, for now, they don't call me. I said, I'm sick of this thing. I said, I'll use it in my shop. But at least I got paid. Got paid for the material and paid to install it. Kind of weird. What does it says? Yes, it sucks to be out there. Kind of drought, but you can move it then. At least you make something on it. Yeah, that's true, man. Sometimes I've taken a lot of doors. It never fails, right? It's like as soon as you sell it, somebody's like, I need this odd size door. And you're like, son of a biscuit. Like I could have made another $300, $600. I just sold the thing at a fire sale. And you're like, okay, I'll order this other door that I just had. I got rid of like 3 months ago. This Tanner says I had a same kind of Monday, showed up for mud, was in pole barn, not outside. Ooh, man. Boots weighed probably 20 pounds. Ooh, man. Dang. What's night job? AMR and CHI tend to send the wrong hardware from time to time. And if you don't have extra stuff or whatever you need for occasions, you're screwed. Yes, it happened to me more than I can count. Yeah, and it's bad because like for us, and this is where like if you do commercial, you can be all over the place a little bit, right? So we come across a lot of different doors. I mean, they're not all the same manufacturer. Well, sometimes I've had a couple of them be pretty nice, and I'm like, hey, we're missing this, and they're like, oh, what we'll do is we'll get you a hardware box, and you just keep your hardware box, and it's like, well, if I'm using like 3 to 5 different vendors, and then I carry 5 different hardware boxes, I mean, it kind of adds up. And how the boxes are, they just start getting old, they blow out, or you take something out of it and you forget to replace it. It's like, well, how about this? How about how about every door you send me, you just send me an extra hardware box? How about that? You know what I mean? And that one needs to be right, because like I said, I came to a point where it was with Wayne Dalton. I was getting so irritated. They'd always miss the flag brackets. And I mean, we were going to the job and it'd be like, you tear it open. Well, heck, we've already used 2 sets of flag brackets in the truck. Now we're using like angle iron. And I'm getting to the point where it's like, then you start looking for it, right? So you're like, all right, I'm gonna open all these boxes. You start looking for it. Okay, it's got it. Well, then they get you next on, maybe it's missing a drum or rollers or something, right? I mean, I typically could go through, but you know how it is. They can screw up hinges and stuff like that you don't account for. And so that's why it's like, man, why this stuff is so important, the quality control. And it's like, there's never really been one where I'm like, wow. There's like Midland Door, and I know you guys mentioned some other ones, but it's like they all got some kind of issue, and then do they got good customer service, keep extra hardware on my truck because I hate checking hardware boxes at supplier. It's not a bad. I mean, like I said, it just seems like it never fails. Like we'd have our divided bins. That's like, here's all our number one hinges, here's all our number twos, and it would never fail. Of course, like if you're dealing like a Wayne Doll, and it depends if you're dealing with residential. The brackets are different. The hinges if you're doing a 9,000 series door, or like the bottom bracket. And then here's one, right? I do that one, was it last year or so? I do the CHI door, not CHI, it was Clopay. It's got darn near full vertical. It's got high lift and only like 2 foot of curl or something. And they send me the brackets, the bottom brackets. They got the button, not the pin. And I'm like, I don't know, like whatever. It was like 12 by 12 or 12 by 14 door. And I'm like, no way, no way. I am not putting a button on here and having this cable pop off. It needs to have a pin, in my opinion. And that's what they send me. So I'm thinking, and there's multiple doors here. So I'm thinking they screwed up on this box. So I open up the other boxes, and they all still got the same. I'm like, no way. So I had to go back and steal like 6 sets of bottom brackets, and it's like, who's going to take care of this? And the thing is that I'm already on this job. I'm on this job, man. I got the time allotted for it. I got to get this job done. The weather's right. The conditions are right. I got the workers that I need right now. These stupid bottom brackets, and they're wrong, right? And they're like, oh yeah, they should have had it, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but they didn't. And I needed 6 of them. And luckily I had them at the shop. What I mean? And the ones I'm using, those big ones you get from like Service Spring, they're like way overkill. But that's what I got to do, man. I can't have this thing come down and kill somebody and I'd be on the 5 o'clock news. At least I don't want to be. So it's like, but there's nobody there to like, I could have just went with it. I could have just rolled, you know what I mean? But I'm like, if this thing starts peeling the bottom bracket, it pops off. Oh, heck no. So that's why the vendors, it's kind of goes back to that whole thing like I talk about with the variables. And you got so many. So it's like some people I go, hey, I'm not trying to discourage anybody from getting, but just it's a long haul. You know what I mean? You know, like Cap, he's got to. I mean, I've done all the ditches. Now it's just you got to maintain it. You know what I mean? But I already cut the paths. Now you just got to keep the overgrowth from coming in and go down once in a while with a lawnmower. It's all here. It's just, but when I look back and I go, holy crap, man, all the things. And then now what I see what's going on with a lot of the vendors and these people just, they don't care. And I've been to the parties and I've been to the seminars and I'm like, and I see even one of my vendors and he kind of rolls his eyes like, This is their normal. They want to tell you, we have only 1% callback on our product, and it's like, yeah, okay. You want to buy another skid of them? It's like you're just a salesman. That's all you are. You're just pushing sales. Like, just go away. It's like it gets redundant where you're just kind of like, I always look at the business, and I'm always like, to me it's like a crystal ball. There isn't really much you can do. I get once in a while a few surprises, but you could shake it and I can already tell you what it's going to say. You know what I mean? Like I can hear it on the phone, I can smell it, I can hear it. I already know how this is going to turn out, and it ain't going to be good. Or, oh, this one won't be so bad. Or, sometimes even they're, oh, not so bad. Oh, geez, that's a poopy diaper. Yeah. It says I keep enough hardware for a 16x7 on the van at all times. Like, yeah, I used to have, I'm kind of weird like this. So like I want everything sealed. So I would get their box, right? I wouldn't even check it, right? It's brand new, right? Like if it's from Wayne Dalton or whoever, it's brand new and it's never been open. You know what I mean? And that was like I put that on the vehicle. Like what it was for. It was for 8,000 series doors. It's for 9,000, whatever, whatever model door. It would say on it too, and it would say the size, and I would not touch it. But if I touched it, it was like reject. I'd get that thing out of my truck or out of my van as quickly as possible, and I'd find another one, or I'd order another one. And the rest of it turns into extra hardware that can go in the shop. I don't care, but I don't want it now. It's been touched. It's been tampered. Just get it out of here. And now I got a brand new box. But like I said, for us, when you're dealing with multiple, we were doing Wayne Dalton, then we went to Amar, and then we were in the Safeway, and then now it's kind of depends on who gives us the better price, and depending on what the situation and with the customer, which probably isn't the best thing. I ain't gonna lie. Tanner says, yeah, CHA is really bad on center coupler. Ooh, man, on center couplers. Back in the day, dang, man, center couplers are hard. There's some things like I'm like, if you're gonna forget something, can you forget like a roller, or could you forget a like a number one hinge? Because I could probably go to Ace Hardware and I can probably find it. I can probably almost buy one at Walmart. Not really. I don't think. Can you get any I don't think you can get garage door parts at Walmart. Maybe online. But I'm just saying, I can go to Menards, I can go to Lowe's. It's a but like when they do bottom brackets, I remember one here. I'm glad you guys brought this up. My memory's coming back. I did one, right? I got this guy. He's been working for me. He used to work for me full time. He went and got another job. Super cool dude. So he'd still come back and work. I loved him. He's a great dude. I'm like, his name was Kenny. He was a good dude. And I'm like Kenny. I'm like, dude, can you help me out? Like, I'm slammed with doors. Like I'm buried. I said, can we knock one out this weekend? Yeah, man. Yeah, it's cool. And I think it was like a 4-stall garage. So anyways, I work my hiney off. I get the trailer all loaded up. I get all the doors. I get all the hardware. I got everything ready, right? He's just basically got to show up there and help me install it. I know he's going to do a door. I'm going to do a door. I think they were maybe like 9x7s, 9x8s or something. And first thing we do, we crack into them, right? Open up the packages. These are 9,000 series Wayne Dalton doors. If you don't know what the 9,000 series garage Wayne Dalton doors are, they have the hinges already pre-built. They have kind of like the built-in strut. They're a sandwich door. They're steel on steel. They're paperback doors. They're not. People have all kinds of names for them, but the hinges are integrated, so they're really fast. They got crappy rollers, but whatever. That's silent glide, not silent roll. Anyways, we tear these boxes open, right, and they're all labeled like they should be on the outside. We open them up like we're missing the centers, right? So maybe like it starts out with like 1s, 2s, and 3s. It'll say on the hinges. They're not there. We're missing like all the 3s. And so I'm like, well, they must have like screwed up when they were packaging all these. Like, let's open up the next box. So we open up the next packages. Nope. We still got no number 3s. We go to the next one. Crap, we ain't got no number 3s. So you know how this is. When the door goes up, it's going to buckle. It's going to do all kinds of weird things. I only got this weekend. I got nobody to call. I got nobody to help me out. I got no vendor, nothing. I don't have enough of these hinges because they're already built on the door. Why do you need to carry these weird hinges? They're built in the door. It's never been a problem. But here it is on a weekend. I get this planned weeks in advance for this guy to come help me. And here I am. these doors are not right. And I called Lowe's even, and I'm like, I'm talking to some, you can tell probably older gentleman that has no clue. And I'm like, hi, and like I'm literally I'm gonna go there and buy some like doors. Like if they got them, I'm gonna tear out the like somebody's gonna pay. God darn it! Like I mean, like I don't care. I got to get this job done. So we ended up shimming some stuff out somehow, and we made it work. But I just remember all the headache, and it's all because of the vendor. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And that's what I'm trying to portray is that you never know the situation, right? You sell it, you order it, you think, oh, it's going to be a beautiful sunny day when we're out there. It should be, and it's raining, it's pouring. You got the finger from somebody at the light. Somebody ran a red light. You almost got in a car accident, and now you're here, and now you got to deal with this vendor that didn't send you, and you're just, I mean, and you want to reach to the phone and grab somebody, but you can't because it's the secretary or whoever, the vendor, and they don't understand. They're not, but they're going to try to make it right, but it's too late. It's too late. I'm already here. The door was open. The customer's been scheduled. My truck is here. I'm here, and I ain't got the right crap. You know what I mean? So yes, oh yes, and there's all kinds of, you should have done, you should have done this, you should have done that. But we've all been there, and it's just super challenging. You know what I mean? Where it's like, but I shouldn't have to, right? If it's done right. I mean, we all know if we get a meal, right? We want a meal to be good. If we go somewhere, we spend a lot of money, right? You want the meal to be good. Like you shouldn't have to tell them how to cook it. You shouldn't have to tell them, quality control and say, hey, I don't want mice turds on my plate. I mean, but that's what it feels like. It's like, how did this even happen? Like quality control is just, and like I said, you go into a lot of these places. I'm just watching one guy. He's sitting there and he's like, he's a truck driver, and he's like, I'm watching on YouTube, and he's like, I'm thinking about just going back home and changing my whole oil. He's like, because I don't know about these other guys, blah, 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 right? Well, he's on the road, and he's like, but I think I'm just going to have somebody change it for me. So he finally lets in, right? He was very resentful. He really didn't want to, right? But he finally said, you know what, I'm just going to pay somebody, and then we can stay out here on the road and keep making money. So what's he do? He goes, gets an oil change, and what happens? Somebody doesn't screw on the oil filter correctly or tight enough, and so the thing's puking out oil underneath the truck. Luckily, he catches it, and it was only about a gallon down. But luckily, he didn't run the truck out of oil. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm trying to like. It's very upsetting when it's like a lot of these people don't care. The quality control. It's just these corporations. A lot of this stuff's all turned into corporations. So, my daughter sells bracelets at a little convenience store, and the nicest people, and they encourage her, and that's the reason why we need, we don't need more corporation in a sense. We need more small business. We need the free capital. We need people that care, and they get weeded out by the people that don't care. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, we're all hostages, and I'm guilty of it too. But it's just I want people that care, that do quality control, that say, look, we're going to make sure, like when we had all the cough syndrome going on, I mean, I kept telling these people, like, don't even send your crap. Like, don't even just send me a window section. Don't even send it. If it's going to take another 2 weeks for you to get the order right, then do that. But don't send me a window section without the rest of the garage door. And I have to deal with, like, what do I do with this window section? And they're like, well, the rest of it should come in next week or the next. And I'm like, just keep it. Like, don't even ship it because I don't know what you're trying to do here. I don't know if you're trying to bill me or like, what am I going to do with the window section? Go to the customer. I'm just going to install a window section and like let it hit the ground. Poof. There's no garage door, but or sections, but you got a window section or stuff it at their house and then send them a bill. Can you pay in full for your garage door? Because I got a window section. Where's the rest? You got to install the rest of the door. I mean, just silliness. I mean, it was like, here's the door. Where's the springs? Oh, they didn't ship that. Where's the torsion tube? They didn't ship that. Where's the weather seal? They didn't ship that. They don't even send it. It's not complete. I mean, that's like, I didn't go to the car dealerships, and see them. Well, I guess they did do the chips. So I'm lying. But, you don't see them sitting there without rims, and tires. Well, they'll send them to you in the mail. UPS. We'll get it towed to your house. Plop it right there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just... like I like Tony says, "Damn, Dave, you sound like me." Oh, yeah, yeah. Oops, I hit something here. It says to keep them on the van. Yep. It's like I said, it's all darned if you do and darned if you don't. I've I've had the vendors, they're nice enough, it's like Amar, right? They could never send me enough paint. No, never send me enough touch-up paint. And then I remember hearing from another guy, he was saying how, oh yeah, he said, when I was at another door company, he says they always would like encourage you to give them a discount. And I'm like, give them a discount? Like, that's my profit. You know what I mean? Like, why don't you send me a good product? Like, I don't want to have to go to the customer like, oh, this one's done. How about I give you $50 off today? Gonna make you one heck of a deal, you know. And then what do you do in I don't want, I want a stupid $50. I want my door to look nice because every day I come home from work, I gotta look at this stupid thing, you know. Right. How about I give you $60 off? Like, and how am I supposed to have how are you supposed to have workers do that? You know what I mean? Like, they're not like that's not their department. You did what? Dave, it had a scratch. I gave him $500 off. He was super happy. Dude, we lost our butt. What are you doing? Oh man. Yeah, Sky says, yeah, that sucks, no bottom tops. Oh man. I'm telling you, man, these people they don't understand. Like I'm always like when I went through the whole tour and then I seen the engineer and I'm not picking on like Wayne Dalton, but when I seen the engineer and he's like, yeah, I'm part of research and development. And I wanted to kind of just grab him and be like, let's go for a walk. Let's talk about research and development. And let's talk about the real core problems. Like first, let's start with making sure there's a good quality product that leaves and all the parts are there. That's first. Let's talk about your bottom seal. I'm sick of this crap of why we got to put it on in the field when it's freezing cold and we got to pull the rubber out and then put screws in the bottom and the sides. This is ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? What are you accomplishing? Well, we can't because we can't compete. Okay, then give me options. Say, do you want the deluxe package? It's going to be another $120 more. I want a deluxe package. Get your other separate people over there that work on it. Money's not the problem with me. It's give me a good quality product. You know what I mean? Like I want good service. I will pay for it. That's fine. That's fine. But it's just hard to find. That's just it. It was not custom. It was just a standard 26 by 18.3 commercial door with, like Dave said, I don't know how the hardware boxes made it on the truck. we all had all four boxes for the door just missing. Ah, man, I tell you, it's like Tanner's saying that. Like I said, that's the stuff right there that'll screw with me just horribly, horribly. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like you almost want to go around to everybody. Did you open a hardware box? And read it? Did you? Don't lie to me. No, it wasn't me. It was just sitting there. You know what, boss? It was this. It was that. It was that driver. He seemed a little suspicious. I bet he took them. I bet he took them for his house. They wouldn't fit, but I bet he took them. I bet he scrapped them, didn't he? I mean, and you don't know. You don't know. And it's just like, probably really what it's somewhere at the factory. And then sometimes the factory sends stuff and then the distribution centers mess with them too. And like for us, the distribution center, all they could ever have there was temps. And that's where I've been there before too. And I've watched the guys throw the panels down. And I'm like, dude, don't throw that panel down like a piece of plywood. Well, and I'm like, no. I'm like, if you you don't understand, dude. I just drove an hour and 45 minutes one way to your shop, to your center here. I gotta have this. This is like a code red job. I gotta have this to get this builder happy because we're behind and he's behind and he's not happy and I'm trying to make him happy. And this is probably never going to end up anywhere because he's eventually going to poop on me. But I got to do my best, right? And if this thing is damaged, now I got to take pictures. I got to send it back to your secretary. They got to prove, they got to say, yep, we're going to honor it. We're not going to honor it. And then they're going to be so nice to me and they're going to send it to me. But then are they going to pay me additional for the mess up that either maybe was you or maybe it was the factory or maybe it was the delivery guy. You know, when you think about with garage doors, I mean, think about how many times they get handled, and you know, it's amazing they even turn out the way they do for the most part. And sometimes they don't even care. Like I've had the ones that are the 10 by 10s, whatever, and they sandwich them all together. It's like sandpaper. Still to this day, they do the same way. And I'm always like, I can't buy these from you because I know how they're going to turn out. It's going to be raw metal. And like, how does that not eventually hit somebody at the factory and they go, well, we got a problem. We're getting all these returns or we're not selling these. And I wonder why. It's because how you're packaging them, you know, and like I said, it ain't a lack of like, oh, you're the cheapest and that's why. You're pretty much the same price and I'd be willing to pay a little more for better packaging. It's just sad. It's just so sad. There's always a lot of little things. Those 6 parts. They had one job. I've had it happen before, right? We've unloaded trucks, and the driver tells me, I'm like, okay, hey, where's the torsion tube? And he's like, I don't know, you know, and he's literally like, and I'm like, well, we're going to this job like right now. Like I mean, the trucks are all parked right here. We're loading them right in. Well, here, I'll give it. It's for the next stop. Oh well, he got shortchanged, you know, and it's like, it's like, dude, that ain't cool. Like, it sucks, but somewhere it got messed up. But you're also like, I got 3 guys, you know. I had it happen with a fence job. I remember one time. I had 3 guys all there, and the vendor never told me that they were missing the vertical pipes that go in the ground that you cement in. The guy comes. I got 3 guys here waiting. We're waiting for the truck, ready to go. He shows up. He's like, "Oh," he goes, they didn't put your post on this order. They didn't have it, dude. They loaded up the night before. Not a phone call. I just wasted 3 grown ass men's time. So they're like, well, what are we doing? We're doing nothing. Nothing. What do you mean? We don't have no post. What? Like, yeah, we got top rail, we got fence, we got no post. So then, ever since the cough syndrome, you know, everything has to be delivered. Everything has to be delivered. You have to go through everything: garage doors, fencing, gates, operators, openers. You have to go through it all and make sure it's there before you even call the customer. You know, where before everything was pretty trustworthy, and you install it Friday, and it was 0.7% there. Well, now it's more like 85% there. You know, you just don't know. So you don't even chance it because why go through all that work and then have to call them back and change it all again and the time. And they're like, why did you even call me? And you know, it's like you got to make sure it's here. You got to touch it, feel it, lick it, smell it. Oh, yeah, it's all here, you know, and then you'll still find out that you're missing, you know, top fixtures and bottom brackets. And you'll go, huh. Oh, man. Oh, appreciate it. Says Tanner has everyone. What does this get closer? Okay, yeah, I was reading the email there. It says has everyone done thumbs up? Thanks, Tanner. Sky goes, I did thumbs up. Tin Man, look at Tim. He does the thumbs. You gotta click the thumbs up, man. The little button up top. But I like the thumbs up too. That's cool. Um, Not under was understood why Wayne Dalton used Torx head screws. I know. Fasteners on pre-installed hinges makes a pain to do repairs. I totally agree. I don't know why, because I had to start carrying those safety bits because I totally agree, and they never went together. They're always crooked. I mean, they're they work. You know, what I mean, they just. But yeah, that's a great example. Why did they do that? That was probably because the head's a little shorter. That's just a little. That's a half a penny savings, you know, per 10 of them or something. Excuse me. Says not suspecting them. Says Tin Man, I did this just like big pain in the butt. Never understood that either. Mm-mm-mm. Also, torsion tubes make it fun to explain to the customer why you couldn't fix it the same day. Oh my gosh, the torsion tubes are always Oh, I just, it's like springs and, oh man, I've had it all. It seems like can't install it. Like, big thing was, like I said, we were getting all those sections, and where's the window section? Oh, that's that coming yet. Oh, are you kidding me? It says, yeah, Wayne Dalton is paying it understatement. Yeah, I think they, bottom brackets, torque screws. Yep. So you have to use up the T30s or whatever it is with the little holes to move it. Yeah, it really doesn't make any sense. It's very not industrial standard, is it? Yeah, it's really bad. It's, I don't know. Like I said, they're good for, like, I don't know. I don't want to say I don't know. Oh, yes, I've had to drill. Oh man, drill them out. Ooh, yeah, that's not fun. Drilling those things out, man. Wobble, wobble, wobble. Trying to. Ugh. Could only imagine. Oh, says 10 minute. I hauled a 18-foot shaft on my truck and had enough to do a spring conversion for those times. Oh yeah. I always try to carry 18. I don't carry 16 anymore because now it's becoming more normal for around here, anyways, that if they're 18-foot wide. And it never fails. You'll be like, oh, yeah, I can do it, blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, crap, I don't have the right shaft. And then, now you got to basically commit to it because you told them you're going to do it. And now you're like, I really would just schedule it for the next day or something because, whatever. And those things are, one thing too, when you think about it, some of that stuff, like, this is kind of another thing with garage doors. A lot of the stuff, not all, but there's a lot of stuff out there that my wife couldn't haul, in a minivan. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, babe, can you bring me a torch? What? It's only for, a 10, How am I going to do that? Shoot it out the window, or if it's a 16. She still has a mark on her vehicle in the dash and it was basically when the van was brand new, from it might have been what was it? I think it was trolley for an opener. You know how they put those metal, like for lift mats, they got those metal staples in them. And I think it slid a little bit and it scratched, and so it's always a nice reminder that you're like, And she, paid dealership extra to any kind of scratch. And, of course, now out of warranty, they don't want to touch that kind of stuff. And I knew that was a scam, anyways. It says, I can't tell if we're getting thunder out there. What's the noise? I think we're supposed to be getting some rain tonight. Yeah, done a few conversions. Oh, hang on, it jumped on me. Wayne Dalton's, where Wayne Dalton set up would cause of headroom. Yeah, that's why I like the what do you call it? I was reading a text. So confusing. Done a few conversions, but yeah, the Torque Masters can get you in some tight spots, which are kind of nice. I know a lot of people don't like Torque Master. I'm not a super fan of them either, but they do have sometimes a little bit of a place. Oh, what's up? Is it Sally or Silly? What's happening? Tony, remember 10 man, you can always carry pulleys and do rear mounted springs and low headroom. Yeah, those are fun. It's always really fun with rear mount. I think what I normally would do, it always depends on the situation. Depends on how you got your springs and everything, right? But, if you don't have something in the center to mount to, like the ceiling or whatever, you can mount them to the side of the track. That's if there's like enough meat. I've done all kinds of weird things with them. I've mounted just the drums and bearing plates to like the ceiling and ran them, whatever you got to do. I mean, it's crazy. I just, but I'm always a front mount guy. I really like front mount. I think that's where I got turned off. Because what is it? I think Amar will do front mounts and they'll do inside hookups. Where like Wayne Dalton will do them on the outside. They'll do the outside, and I hate the outside hookups. Anybody else hate the outside hookups? I hate outside hookups on the cables. where the bottom brackets wrap around the, because then they either hit the photo eyes. So if you got LiftMaster, you're screwed. So then you got to mount them differently. They almost seem dangerous to me. I've seen where like you get your hand caught in there. A kid, I've had one, the roll pin, whatever, the cotter pin that goes through it, like it's nicked me before where the button is, and it kind of, like, ouch, got me. I do not like outside hookups when that comes out. I'm like, if you can keep it all inside the track, and I've modified them too. I've gotten pretty good where I can do it now, where I know what's got to be nipped on the track and stuff to make it happen. And sometimes you got to go back and nip a little more. And it says with Tip Master 2, you can always just clamp. Yeah, with a Torque Master 2, you can also just clamp the spring, get the case and upcoming spring size, order it here in North. Yes, Wayne Dalton is known. Yes, that's for sure. That's one thing I didn't like about the Torque Master though too was, you can't see it. You know what I mean? So it's hard for customers. Like they're like, I don't know what's going on. And I was like, well, normally I just go by the age. I'd just go, well, your door is obviously, it's already 10 years, 15 years old. And you can tell you lifted up door if it's a 16x7. Those are always the ones. Like if you get a smaller door with one spring, right away. You're like, oh, I'm lifting the whole door, man. But it is nice with a regular torsion spring to be able to visually look. And then you can also you come out there and you're like, oh, Mrs. Jones or whatever, it's like, you see that right there? That's not supposed to be like that. Oh my, yeah, that's not good at all. We should fix that. Yeah, we're gonna have to fix that for you. That's gonna be whatever X amount of dollars. I got one in the truck. Where like with LiftMaster, Torque Master, we have to order them and take a week or two, and it depended. Sometimes I think we were roughly about the same. We kind of keep the price about the same, so that way they'd just be like, no, why don't you just fix it with a torsion spring instead of doing Torque Master? That seemed to work out pretty good. The reason I got from a window rep is prevents a homeowner from messing with the door. True. I think that's a great point. Like I said, I mean, I'm sure you guys are like me. We this is how I always do it, right? Every situation is different. Every situation, which is like, it's like fun and exhilarating at the same time, but it's like, it's horrible to like, to sometimes portray that to your employees and stuff like that. For you, you're fine, right? Because it's all yours. You're doing stuff, whatever. But that's why I'm talking about sometimes like the mechanics, right? It's not, hey, Mr. Mechanic number one, it's a water pump on a Chevrolet, whatever, Silverado. It's a 3-hour job. You know, Mechanic number two or B, whatever, you're doing a transmission. It says that the book time is 6 hours. It's all very calculated to some degree. Trust me, I know they got problems in that, but they're in a climate controlled, where we don't know what the weather's going to be like in 2 weeks. We don't know when we get there. Are they going to have the garage cleaned for us? Are they going to have the car out of there? So every situation for me has always been like, it's like you go in there, right? And you're kind of, yeah, I do like this, like a sniff test. I'm kind of doing like a hearing test. I'm doing a visual test. I'm asking them questions. I'm like a detective. I'm like, so what are you doing? What's your idea here? What's your plan? What's your, and they're like, well, I'm going to do this, or I really like to, I was thinking about doing, I'm a DIYer, and it's like, ooh, yeah, maybe we better go Torque Master. And you don't really have, you're kind of between the headroom of having enough for standard, and I can see that your other door here, like the spring has never been oiled. And for some reason, you like to leave the door cracked, and the way the wind blows off the lake, it's causing this to rust because you like to let Fluffy come in and out, the kitty cat. And you just said you got another kitty cat. And so that's going to be another, around for another 10, 15 years. Yeah, we better do this. And I can tell you don't like doing maintenance, and the Torque Master's all enclosed. You know what I mean? So it's like everything has a purpose. It's just you got to find where it belongs. And it's sometimes it's, damned if you do and damned if you don't. You know what I mean? It's still, you don't always knock out a home run. It's where it's can be very, challenging. And if you're like me, you put all that effort in there, and then they come back and they, well, you were high, or, I gave your bid to the next guy and he beat it by $100, and you're like, you gave my bid to the next guy and what? Well, Maybe you should have had me come back again. I worked really hard. There's all these situations. That's why I'm always like, when homeowners, I always kind of do like a three option. I'm always like, kind of like, what are you doing here? Are you living here? Is this a rental? Is this a permanent home for life? Are you flipping this house? And then I kind of go off of that. Okay, this is what I would do if it was mine. And I would just put myself in, what would I do if this was mine? Well, they're probably looking for something expensive, or we want something quality. This is why I recommend it. And you got to explain all these things. It can add up. What is it? It says we now as work. Next, overhead and Raynard. How much is, what's Carson's? How much is garage? I don't know what that means, Carson. Is that Carson? Are you the one that emailed me? I don't got your email in front of me. No, it's Carter. Sorry. It's not crazy. It's funny, Dave. LOL. I love it. It is. It is. Maybe I got those gray hairs. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. It's really weird. Like when you experience, like when you do other businesses and my rentals, the one problem I've had with my rentals is I've had some toilets and I've had some stuff, right? But my biggest one I think of is when my property manager called me and she says, we got a problem. Her name's Kathy. I said, Kathy, what's the problem? And she goes, I need you to cash your checks because I need to balance my checkbook. And I said, that's it? That's all you got? And she goes, yep. She goes, for today. And I said, not a problem. And I just cannot explain how it's so different. And I don't know how to describe it to guys and to women. And I'm trying to explain it to my kids because, like I said, there's something when you're on the end, you're at the mercy, right? Like we're always scrounging, you know. It's policy. We got to get like you have to do so much education. We have to get half down. We're going to ask for full payment when we're done, and then they're not there or they got to leave, and then they're like, well, how long are you going to be here? And you're like, I don't know. I still got to put up the top section. I still got to wind the springs. I got to do back hangs, which look like crap. I got to find out where the stud is. You got drywall up here. I got to cut that wood chunk off. I could be here an hour and 30 minutes. I might be here 3 hours. Hell, I don't know. Might turn into 6, and it just, there's, like I said, the only thing I can ever come up with is the variables. And it's just weird to me how when you're at the end like that, where this is my vendor, right? And I remember him talking to me very sincerely about this. He's a local vendor. He's a mom and pie. He's a big lift master person. Sells, that's his biggest thing. He's gotten to other stuff now, Lanier. I think he even does gate operator stuff like that. But I remember him telling me, he goes, my dad ran this business. He said it's like over 20 years. And he said my dad was so disappointed in me when I decided that I didn't want to go out and do service. He said, I want to be a vendor and sell the products. I don't want to go install the products. And I remember the guy was telling me that he goes, my dad was just heartbroken. He was so disappointed. He said, I've worked all these years. I've got all these customers. I got all these people, and he said, yeah, but he said, Dad, he says, you don't realize, he said, you were never around. And you were always grumpy. You were always, beat up. You were always tired. And I see what the son has done now. And I see what the son's, what his son is doing now. And like I said, there's a whole different avenue because I look at that and I go, I don't see all the stress. I know they got problems. Every business has problems. But it's controlled, right? And he was, one day I come in and he's telling me, he goes, this guy, I sold these openers. I probably shouldn't have sold these openers to him. he goes, but he doesn't realize that with all these lift masters, there's no beam between them. He's got 8 doors in a row. Well, they're seeing the other photo eye, and you have to flip them or do it. He's got to get them so they're broke up. And he's like, this guy doesn't understand it, right? There you go. Got a problem. But regardless, right? He's talking to him on a phone. He's not going out there. He's not going, I mean, he might eventually, I guess, if it got so bad. But what I'm trying to say is he can sell stuff out the door. He's not making the profit margins maybe we are. And he's even told me that. He says, you go install a door, you're making $400. He says, I sell a door, I might be making $20 to $50. But he says, his place, he goes, I think he's pushing out like 150, 200 doors a day. He's like, so, but the problem is you can bring that stuff back, and it's not on your time, not on your dime. I like that. Not on your time, not on your dime. So it's just, I try to get people to sometimes realize we should call it the garage door entrapment podcast or something, that sometimes you might want to think outside the box. That's all. It's not, it's not, it's not good or bad. It's just sometimes, why do they do that? Why? And, you know, um, the guy's got a lot of power in the state. A lot of the vendors go there. Um, I mean, I know he just does a heck. I mean, he just built a huge addition, clean, organized, beautiful RAM place. Beautiful. Done a wonderful job. He's done a really great job. But I look at that and I go, everything that comes in his doors is packaged, is boxed, right? Like I said, I know he has problems. But then that stuff goes right out the door, right? But you think about us as installers, you know, we got to go out there. The van's getting rusty. The van's got, getting mud, dirt. We get to the job site, our tools are sitting in dirt, whatever. We're on our knees. We're, we got all the mess to clean up, right? We're not leaving it at the customers. We got plastic, we got cardboard. We got to go back. We got to dump all this stuff. I'm trying to say, like, I'm just saying sometimes I think we can be blinded to maybe you want to push something out the door a little bit. Maybe you want to change things up. It's just something to think about. Um, this is the reason I got it from. What it says, a worst door on, yes. How much? I didn't think I got that. Tanner forgot. Tanner, don't forget precision. Oh my gosh, let's not get started on precision. They got all kinds of stuff, don't they? Says, we don't have many of them around, Tony, but I ran into a few. Yeah, it says garbage along with Haas, just a waste of material. Oh, man. And it's kind of one of those things like for Cap, he's got to learn. He's always evolving, right? And I was too, right? When we were dealing with Wayne Dalton, I mean, which we still do, and this stuff all changes, right? I mean, their customer service is phenomenal. One phone call, I say I got a problem, they ship me out of a section. No questions asked, no pictures, just you got it. We've had a long-term relationship, right? And then you get some of these other ones, and they want the old section back, and it's like, well, how am I supposed to get you the old section back until I get to new one? Well, then you got to do it the next week or whatever, and then the driver doesn't even know about it. They forget about it. They got this section sitting here. Now you're calling the vendor. You're like, do you want this section back? I don't know what to do with it. Oh yeah, we want it back. Make sure the driver shows up again the next following week. And you're like, do you want? I don't have a ticket thing for it. I don't really want it on my truck. It's just going to be in the way. Okay, what do I do with this thing? I'm sick of storing this thing. So now I got to have more room. I got to have more property. I got to have a bigger place. There's just stuff that can add up. I wish I was all I had my, it says, I wish I was all I had was my, I'm assuming that's rentals, Tony. I said, I'm getting my company 4x4 delivery to my doorstep right now. What? What is this guy? What do you got here? I'm getting my company 4x4 delivered to my doorstep right now. What? What is going on here? That's, like I said, Like I said, it's just stuff to think about. I just think about how many things are out of our control, which really kind of stink for our situations. I'm still trying to wait for that video or that terminology where it's like, well, when you're the end user, the end provider, the end installer, this is it. And like I said, it's really no big thing. I just try to understand it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to understand the universe of it. And are you fighting it's like trying to fight gravity, right? And I've tried so many, different ways sometimes with the employees, or you load the vehicles, you don't load the vehicles, you load them at night, which I still think is the best because then you can at least sleep. The customers are people, some people will tell you, well, that's just how it's always been, but I'm like, are people getting dumber? I feel like our service is getting worse. It seems like we give people more money, and I still go to the restaurants, or I go, and the service is just crummy. Why is it? What is going on? I think I know what's going on. I think there's too much money handouts, and people have to go to work, and they need to be nice to the whole situation. You know what I mean? Like they need this job. They need, instead of just, well, I can, whatever, I'll just go back to, it's kind of like the guy that I knew, the lady that hired the guy on the corner, right? And maybe it's something to do with taxes, right? He says they got him off the street, right? He's working at the store. And I remember the guy saying, he goes, I'm going to go back on the street. And it's like, why would you do that? You got a job. You're working at the gas station now. You're doing good. You're doing better. Why make more money? He says on the street. And it's like, I don't know what do you do with that? Like, he was like, and it's tax free, and it's like, so is it people are being hit too hard with taxes? I mean, what's going on? What is, I think there's just too much, some of these people out here, they can use their kids as you know, their piggy banks, they make money. I mean, there's just so many things that's out of my control that it's like, what do you do? I mean, what do you do? I mean, it's just crazy. And I don't know. I'd like to know. I'd like to know. But I'm gonna shoot off here. I heard thunder. I think we're supposed to get rain tonight. Before it downpours, I want to get the truck back to the house and all that stuff. So, thanks for being here, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope you guys do good. Let me know. I'll shoot. I believe Tony. I'll shoot that right now. I'll shoot you a text. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Take care. Keep your fingers. Got any questions? Email me. I love them. I love talking about them, discussing them. Business, personal, whatever. Garage door, service, space, whatever, man. And anything you can teach me, man. I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn from you guys. I'm here to teach. I want us all to do better, make more money, and have better lives, better health, better family, friends, everything, relations, gods, everything. You name it. I'm out, guys. See ya.